All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. It is December 10th, and this is a business meeting. We're at the Southern Human Services Center, and this is our last meeting of, not the fiscal year, but the last meeting of 2019. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that from us to all of you that we wish you a very happy holidays and a nice break. It's nice to get away from us for a little bit, I'm sure. Thank you to the manager, the deputy manager, all the department heads, and the 1,000 people that work for Orange County. We appreciate everything that you do. We could not be up here doing this without you. So I just want to wish you a happy holiday from us to you, and spend some time with your family and friends and have a good time, and then we can hit the road again running when we come back in January. So, thank you. I'm not going to read the public charge. You all know what that is already. This is a room of respect. We respect you, and we expect you to respect us and everyone else in the room. And tonight we're going to start with Katie Murray and our arts moment.
Hello.
Good evening.
Andrea Selch joined the board of Carolina Wren Press in 2001 after the publication of her poetry chapbook, Suckery, which was #2 in the Carolina Wren Press Poetry Chapbook series. She has an MFA from UNC Greensboro and a PhD from Duke University, where she taught creative writing from 1999 until 2003. Her poems have been published in Calyx, Equinox, the Greensboro Review, Oyster Boy Review, Luna, Swink, the MacGuffin, Prairie Schooner, the Southern Review, and featured on the Best American Poetry blog. Her full-length collection of poetry, Startling, was published by Turning Point Press in October 2004 and reissued by Cockeyed Press in 2009. In 2007, Choreo Collective danced her Holy Shell Waiting for the Return of the Soul and Early Weaning at the Biennial Symposium of Duke University's Sally Bingham Center for the Study of Women's History and Culture. She won a 2008 Hippo Award from the Monty for her spoken story Replacement Child. Her small collection of ekphrastic poems, Boy Returning Water to the Sea, Cones for Kelly Fearing, was published by Cockeyed Press in 2009, and in 2011, a selection of her work appeared in the Book of Istwith, 6 Poets on the Art of Clive Hicks Jenkins. After a dozen years as president of Carolina Wren Press, she now devotes her time to coaching the Triangle Equestrian Vultures while continuing her work on a second full-length manuscript entitled Oh, My Darling. Andrea.
Thanks, Katie, and thank you all for providing a space for the arts at the beginning of your meeting. I'm going to read 2 poems. One is a fall poem and one is a spring poem. So I guess since we're closest, I'll start with fall. And the title of this poem is called Cathexis. It's a Greek word which means attraction or desire. Cathexis. All summer, the portulaca blossomed, each morning fresh, red, orange, purple, yellow at the patio's edge. A peculiar plant, this half cactus, half vine, with so many colors on its palette. I'd meant it for ground cover, to spread in and out among the stalks of larger flowers, tulips, irises, the 6 hyacinths whose bulbs had begun the garden. But it only grew longer, each sprig curving up and up, fighting for light against the unkillable crabgrass and ragweed, the 4-foot tomatoes. In late September, I took the garden down, salvaging 2 marigolds, a pink petunia, and a stem of portulaca. The marigolds died in a week, and the petunia sits barren. Yet every morning this purslane flowers, one day red, purple, yellow, the next white, yellow, cream, and orange. And today, all peach and pink, it cranes toward the glass, where a single ruby throat flings and flings itself at the impossible blooms. And this one is a sort of also plant-oriented, but it's about my daughter Helen and going berry picking together. It's called Early Berry Picking. It's only April, and we're already picking berries, mother and daughter among the other mothers and daughters at Waller's You Pick 'em field. I carry the cardboard tray and white ribboned marker while she canters down the row, hopping the beds, even when I tell her no. She is happiest on a horse or being one. We have read the instruction sheet, which grows more detailed every year. Pick only the ripe ones and pick all you see, pinching the stems, not capping them. But it's no use. She doesn't like the lovely hand-shaped ones I take, and I can't get her to part the leaves and seek the mass of tiny, perfect straw babies. It is only the beginning of our differences. I know that. Today at school was life talks, and now she doesn't want to talk. She isn't hungry, but every fifth berry goes into her mouth until her chin runs with juice. That's a dead giveaway, I say. We will have to pay extra at the scales. And afterward, the air in the car will stink with them and us. We are full to overflowing now. I place the flag, keep setting limits.
Thank you so much, and appreciate you coming back. We know that you came to our last meeting. There was a little confusion, so thank you so much for coming back. Appreciate it. All right, folks, do we have any additions or changes to the agenda? And I see none. We do have one item at our place, and that is for the audit. That is just additional material, and we'll address that when we come to that agenda item. Okay, we have public comment now, and this is limited to 1 hour, and this is for items that are not on the printed agenda. You have 3 minutes to speak, and Mr. Ruski, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a bit of a cold, so pardon my speech. I came here tonight from a very enjoyable evening watching basketball at Cedar Ridge High School. And one of the things of particular note was that just before the ladies' team took the floor, or they did take the floor, but before the game started, they all stood, everyone in the audience stood, the men took their hats off, they all placed their right hands over their hearts, and they stood at attention towards the flag while the national anthem was played. It was a great experience. On September 3rd of this year, the board received a petition requesting that each meeting be started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Chair Rich sent an unresponsive letter dismissing the notion, basically. So on October 15th, the petition was resubmitted. Once again, according to the notes from the November 7th meeting on information items, Chair and Vice Chair determined the board should receive the petition as information. It is not intended as information. It is a request for you to discuss and vote on starting each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm serious about it, and as serious as that flag is, and as long as that flag stands, I'm going to keep bringing that point up time and time again until you do your civic duty and say the Pledge of Allegiance at your meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Ruski. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, thank you. We're going to go to announcements, petitions, comments by board members, and let's start with Commissioner Green.
Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone. I just want to highlight one meeting I've been to recently, and that was the meeting of the Justice Advisory Committee. I sent you all a memo about an hour ago. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, so I won't belabor it, but I do want to highlight the notion of expanding the pre-arrest diversion program to include people who are not first offenders. So to back up, the pre-arrest diversion program, as it stands, deals with first offenders of a handful of minor offenses that are really more like that are more suitable to diversionary treatment, like substance abuse treatment, and allows that to go forward. Which is great, but what had not yet happened to date was expanding that program to people who are not first offenders, and that's by definition people who are habitually drinking too much or having mental health episodes, and these are the folks who the folks in the department call the familiar faces. These are the people who cycle in and out of jail with all of the consequences that we know that comes with that. So the district attorney had to be the one to approve this, since it's his job to oversee the prosecutions. And just this morning, they met, and he agreed that this would be a good thing to do. Now, I highlight it because it is going to require the hiring of additional staff, and so that will be a budget implication for us. But when the time comes to talk about that, well, even right now, I'll start to advocate for it because I think it's just a really great program that we should be doing. Commissioner Dorson was at the same meeting and may have thoughts to add when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. Commissioner Bedford.
Several of us, I remember the three of us at least, and were at the Environmental Summit last Wednesday, and information was shared about wildlife corridors in the four neighboring counties, Orange, Wake, Durham, and Chatham, as well as the newly released 2019 State of the Environment Report. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who arranged that, and the information was very valuable, and it was nice to have updates across those counties as well. And then many, I think all of us actually, have been to various swearings-ins and retirements across at Hillsborough, Carborough, and Chapel Hill, and I just want to express appreciation to those who are leaving those boards and looking forward to working with the new boards in 2020.
Thank you, Commissioner Bedford. Commissioner Markopoulos.
I'd like to accentuate what James Etta said about the Environmental Summit. Our Commission for the Environment is really a great body that does excellent work, and they had a great presentation on their report for the year, and it's online. You can find it easily enough. If you go to the website, you should check it out. They did a great job. Last week, I went to the Family Success Alliance resource subcommittee group, and the topic was what criteria we should use for dispersing $5,000 that they have for innovation grants to the schools. And the plan was to disperse two $2,500 grants. The schools that are eligible are the ones that work in Zone 4 and Zone 6, the two Family Success Alliance zones, right? But it's a lot of schools. And I came away thinking we really ought to be able to give away a few more grants with all these schools attempting to get, really relatively small grant to do really good work in the schools. So I would like to ask the manager to see if we could find $10,000 to add to that and triple the number of modest grants that these schools would be eligible for.
We'll look at that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Price.
Yes. First, I'd like to say that I also was at the Environmental Summit, and it was, I'm glad to see that, that they're continuing that regional approach. And it was also kind of enlightening for me because I had been in that same place 10 years prior when I was chair of the Commission for the Environment, and to see the work continuing was very nice. The new ABC store opened today in Hillsborough. Just for those of you who couldn't make it, there were a lot of people over. I've never seen so many people attend an opening for a liquor store. And again, I would just like to say, whatever holiday you celebrate during the winter, happy holidays.
Thank you, Commissioner Price. And Commissioner Dorson.
Yeah, well, I was also at that environmental summit, and I would like to add a caveat. It was a great program as far as it went, but it was particularly disappointing. There was no discussion of environmental justice, which is something we've specifically tasked our Commission for the Environment to make a priority and to incorporate into part of the discussion about the environment, and that it include the human environment. And a couple of people asked questions about that during the presentation, and it was a really noticeable gap in the discussion of the state of the environment. It's also, it was an extraordinarily homogeneous group, both presenting and attending. When we have a meeting that starts, goes from 9 to 12 on a Wednesday, it's very hard for anybody who works to get there. So I think, and I talked to Brennan about this a little bit afterwards, I think it's important that if we're trying to reach, a more diverse cross-section of our community, that things like when events are scheduled, where they're held, what time of day, thinking about the diversity of the presenters, as well as the diversity of the audience, and particularly as well as the issues related to the subject matter, which I think it's, if we're not thinking about it, if we're continue to think about the environment and environmental justice separately, we're never going to maximize our potential on either front. So it was a great program. What was presented was really fascinating, but it was a real gap. I have a petition that I'd like to bring forward tonight. When HB2, the state law that preempted local governments from making anti-discrimination laws broader than the very narrow range that the state wanted it to have, including sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, but also inhibited a lot of other local government powers. Well, when that bill was repealed and was replaced by, HB something else, in that repeal, it said that local governments continued to be preempted until December 1st, 2020. What I petition the board to do tonight is that we develop an anti-discrimination ordinance. We ask the attorney to develop an anti-discrimination ordinance that includes all of those range of provisions and protected classes, and that it come forward and we adopt it as soon as we can with an effective date of December 1st or 2nd of this year. And so we make our commitment clear, and that will go into effect at the first available moment that we're able to do so vis-a-vis the state legislature.
Thank you. Commissioner McKee, you ready to roll, or you want me to go first?
I'm going to take a break.
Take a break, okay. I'll go first and we'll come back to you. I attended the JCPC meeting, which is the juvenile criminal group that meets. It is a state statute that we meet. We do monthly numbers there, and we find out, what kids are in trouble and who needs help. And we used Boomerang this month as an example, and we're talking about suspensions in schools, and mostly kids that are fighting, and not the first time that kids were caught fighting, but maybe the second or third time. Unfortunately, we're still seeing that it's really high for students of color. 55% of the kids last month were Black or African American, 17% were Latino, 17% white, 10% multiracial, and 1% Asian. We keep thinking that we're going to be doing better, and it feels like we're not doing better. And so I don't. All these groups work with the schools, and they're trying to make it better for these kids so they don't get suspended. But we still see this is disproportionate when there's still 55% of these kids that are African American that are being suspended. So I don't know what we could do about it except just keep watching the stats and making comments at the JCPC. I don't know who's going to choose that tonight. But it is a good group to be involved with and have our voices heard there. They're also concerned about the Medicaid transformation. They don't know what the Raise the Age is going to do yet as far as moving funds in and out for services. And because it's only been, less than a couple of weeks, there's a lot of confusion. Parents that get money through Medicaid are unsure of where the funding is coming from. So I know that the Department of Social Services is trying to work that through just to make sure that everybody is getting their services that they need. It was a challenging meeting, but we got through that one. I also went to Big Bold Ideas. I know if some of you folks got involved with that. That was through the chamber, and there were over about 450 ideas that got whittled down to 3. The 3 are affordable housing, youth master plan opportunity for the opportunity gap, which we're no longer calling it achievement gap, because I'm told that the achievement gap is passé and it blames the child. So now we are moving on to calling it the opportunity gap. And then the third focus is going to be the innovation hub and workforce. We got through affordable housing, okay, and we got stumped on the youth master plan. There was not an agreement on how to move forward with that. So we're going to have, the steering committee is going to have to go back and meet on that. And that I could not stay for the innovation hub, so I'm unclear of how that moved forward. I just want to mention, Steve Brantley asked me to bring this forward, that Medline, the newest company that is going to be moving into our economic development district, did not build their building yet, but they won an award for that building. And the reason being is because of their concept plan. It's a LEEDs Platinum facility, and it's also going to have over 50% of its energy coming from solar panels. And so it won the Impact of the Year category, not even built yet. So that's really exciting. And Steve was there to accept that for Medline because they could not be here for that. So I just want to congratulate Steve and Medline again. And then we did have the ABB groundbreaking. Commissioner Green and I represented, and we were basically out on the highway. It was kind of interesting, speaking over the cars driving by. But they've already got the dirt moved, and they're ready to go. And again, another great partnership with Mebane. It was fun. Mebane was well represented there, and it's quite interesting. If you haven't been in there, I know Commissioner McKee has been in ABB. Commissioner Green and I were walking around, and Travis asked us not to touch anything because he didn't want to pay for anything that we broke. But we didn't touch anything. But it was really fascinating. It's a fascinating place. And again, this is a building inside. You can see that it's not LEEDs, but it's being built to LEEDs. So they're not going to get certified, but they're building to LEEDs. And it's just really an interesting place. If you get a chance to go, you do need to get permission to go in there. And then lastly, a couple of us were talking to Paul Jones about 2 weeks ago. And so we on and off hear things about our website and how people can't get to the site, can't navigate through the site quick enough. And so we were talking to Paul, and he recommended that we contact the School of Information Science, a woman named Lori Height, and I can give you that information. So this is actually a petition, and request from the school that her class do a user experience of the website. And what they would do is they would go in and just try to, utilize their knowledge and try to get information as quickly as possible. And then they would give us feedback to see, where we're missing it. Because I think often some of us, well, I don't know, maybe all of us have heard that, how do I get there? Or, I've called David Hunt in the middle of the weekend to figure out how to get someplace. So this would be a good opportunity for us to get some outside eyes on there. And Paul recommended that we do it before the semester starts. So I'll give you that information, then we can also contact Paul if we need to. And lastly, the Pauli Murray Awards are 2/23/20, and that has just come out on Twitter and Facebook. I'm wondering if we could put that on the front of our website, because we often don't advertise this enough. And this is a fabulous event. This has been going on for a very long time, and it's one of the highlights of the HRC every year. So I would like to just make sure that we get that front and center. And with that, Commissioner McKee, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you. You mentioned ABB, the ABB facility. That was the first and actually only place I've ever watched metal printing be done. Actually building a part by actually printing the part out. It was fascinating. They're doing a lot of cutting edge work up there. I'm not sure if Commissioner Green and Commissioner Rich had the opportunity to see their lab. We were able to see it from a distance, but not go in.
From a distance, yeah,
From
we
a
saw everything
distance,
from a
yes.
distance.
They're very jealous of their trade secrets. So I do have several issues. I'm not going to bring them up tonight. I've got to flesh out one of them in particular because it might be a bit sensitive. So I'll be bringing those in January at the first meeting in January. So I would just wish everyone a happy holiday. There's very few days left in this year. The holidays are coming up, and regardless of how each individual celebrates those holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, or any other of the Jewish or Muslim holidays that's coming in the next few weeks, I would wish everybody a happy holidays and hopefully a good 2020. I don't say New Year because New Year to me is one day. So we've got 365 days in 2020. I hope that we can do good work, and hope it's very good for the county and the people.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there's one
Yeah.
small thing I forgot.
Sure.
Came up in the Justice Advisory Committee meeting, but it's an announcement about a forum coming up this Saturday, the 14th, at the Public Library from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. It's a criminal justice forum called Where Do We Go From Here? A community forum on criminal justice reform in Orange County, and it's organized by James Williams and other folks from the local Defense Bar, and we're sponsors as well, and it's going to be a great discussion, so I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you,
And
Commissioner
I'll
Green.
just add to that, it's the NAACP as well.
Okay, NAACP as well.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move to proclamations, resolutions, special presentations. And the first one was across the Chapel Hill women's volleyball team. Are they available this evening? Okay, so we are recognizing them. The volleyball team won the 2019 State 3A Championship, and we'll get that proclamation to them. Fabulous. Okay, let's move on to B then. Proclamation recognizing Carrboro High School women's cross-country team for winning the 2019 State 2A Championship, and Todd McGee is going to introduce them.
Good evening, Chair Rich and members of the board. So it is our tradition to honor the championship teams in Orange County high schools, and there has not been a season go by yet where we haven't had at least one team to recognize. We did have 3 tonight. As you said, Chapel Hill Volleyball could not make it. But our first team we will recognize tonight is the Carrboro women's cross-country team. And Coach Mimi O'Grady is here, and I'm going to let her come up and introduce the athletes that she has with her. Just note this is their 7th state title, so she has quite a program there.
Ladies, come on up front, please. Fabulous. You got to face them.
Tonight we have 6 of the 7 girls who ran in the state championship meet on November 9th. Celia, Hannah, Emery, Maddie, Leah, and Cora. The only person who's absent is at home recovering from having her wisdom teeth taken.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, and we are going to read a proclamation now. No, you could go over there, we'll get all those photos there, and Commissioner Green is going to read that proclamation.
Thank you, and I'll just add that my son was at Carrboro the very first year it opened, so I'll be sure to tell him this. He'll be very proud of you, too. Proclamation of recognition on Carrboro High School women's cross-country team winning the 2019 state championship. Whereas, excuse me, on November 9th, 2019, the Carrboro High School women's cross-country team won the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's 2A state championship. And whereas, under the guidance of Coach Mimi O'Grady, the team won its 7th state championship and 2nd in a row. And whereas, through hard work, dedication, teamwork, and commitment, the team brought honor upon themselves, Carrboro High School, the Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools, and Orange County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Orange County Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere appreciation and respect for the Carrboro High School women's cross-country team and Coach Mimi O'Grady for the team's outstanding achievement and their inspiration to youth across North Carolina through their dedication, teamwork, and athletic prowess this 10th day of December 2019. Congratulations.
We need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, and that passes. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having us.
absolutely. Okay, folks, so let's take a step back. We had the proclamation recognizing the high school volleyball team. We did not make a motion on that, so I need a motion.
Move approval.
And second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Okay, Todd, you're up.
Then the final team to be recognized tonight is the Chapel Hill High School men's cross-country team, which won the state 3A championship, and we have their 2 senior co-captains here with us tonight to pick up the award, Zeno Scotti and Owen Rogers.
Here? Okay.
Would you like to say anything before we read the proclamation?
Yes, we're very grateful to be here. We are the varsity captains, and we're unfortunate that our coach could not be here, but she is also very grateful for you inviting us. We worked very hard this year, and we're very thankful to have won and to have the guidance of our coach, and we thank you again.
Okay, great. Commissioner Dorsett is going to read the proclamation. Hang on one second. Then you can come on up and take a photo.
Okay. Proclamation of recognition on Chapel Hill High School men's cross-country team winning the 2019 state championship. Whereas on November 9th, 2019, the Chapel Hill High School men's cross-country team captured the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's 3A state championship, and whereas under the guidance of Coach Joan Nesbitt Mabe, the Chapel Hill High School men's cross-country team earned its 11th NCHSAA title, and whereas through hard work, dedication, teamwork, and commitment, the Tigers brought honor upon themselves, Chapel Hill High School, the Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools District, and Orange County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Orange County Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere appreciation and respect to the Chapel Hill High School men's cross-country team and Coach Joan Nesbitt Mabe for the team's outstanding achievement, their inspiration to youth across North Carolina through their dedication, teamwork, and athletic prowess. This the 10th day of December, 2019. I move the proclamation.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Dorsett. I want you all to turn around. There you go. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a good holiday. Okay, we are going to move on to D now, folks, and this is a proclamation recognizing Robin Jacobs. The board will consider voting to approve a proclamation recognizing Robin Jacobs for her years of service with the Association for the Preservation of the Eno River Valley, Eno River Association, and authorize the chair to sign. And Ms. Jacobs, if you can come up to the podium. Dave, do you want to say anything before Commissioner Markopoulos reads the proclamation?
Well, yes, thank you. I kind of looked like I wanted to, I guess. Just that we're very appreciative of the Eno River Association under Robin's leadership. They've been such a great partner for us. A lot of good things have happened in the world of conservation in Orange County, along the Eno River in particular, and a lot of that is due to the hard work of the Eno River Association and Robin's leadership, and we couldn't do it without them, and we're really delighted that Robin's been a great leader for them, and I think even though I think she's retired, I hear my sources tell me that she's still kind of here and there involved in it. So, but it's been a great stretch, and we hope to continue it.
Thank you, Dave. We're going to let Commissioner Markopoulos read this for you, and then you can have a few words.
Whatever is good for you. Thank you.
Whereas Robin Jacobs retired at the end of October 2019 as the Executive Director and Legal Counsel for the Association for the Preservation of the Eno River Valley, better known as the Eno River Association, and whereas Ms. Jacobs previously served the association for 5 years as a member of its board of directors, and whereas Ms. Jacobs served as the Executive Director and Legal Counsel for the association for 15 years, leading the organization through many significant milestones, and built the association into a professionally staffed organization, increasing its capacity to meet the association's mission to conserve and protect the natural, cultural, and historical resources of the Eno River Basin. And whereas in her time at the association, 1,664 acres of land were conserved, with the majority being transferred to public ownership, Eno River State Park, and others. And whereas during this time, Ms. Jacobs and the association collaborated with Orange County on many land conservation projects, including the purchase of 4 properties for future parks and/or natural areas with amenities for public enjoyment, 3 conservation easements that protect significant natural areas, and 5 conservation easements that protect prime farmland. And whereas Ms. Jacobs was a tireless advocate for local and regional open space conservation and the protection of natural resources across local government boundaries and will be greatly missed by Orange County in this capacity, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Orange County Board of Commissioners expresses its deep appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the guidance, actions, and assistance provided by Robin Jacobs and her leadership of the Eno River Association, and that the board wishes her well in her retirement. And I move adoption.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't think there's anyone against, so that passes. Thank you, Robin. Come on
Come up here, we can all get in the picture here with you.
It's our new thing, we like everyone in the photo. Then you can go speak.
I'm not sure we're all going to get in the photo.
That's
Just
true. It's
fine, it's
I
fine,
mean, so if we
yes.
want to all get in the photo, we should probably get
okay.
Would you like
down
us all in
there
your
and.
photo? Okay, we're
Okay, let's do
coming.
it.
What about that guy that's sitting down there? You want to identify him?
I brought you a visitor.
Yeah, he can't come. He can't come. This is your day. I heard there were calendars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Davis.
Part of the deal.
I'll be back in a second. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. That was a good move.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for this really incredible honor that I appreciate so much. And thank you for coming down to get your pictures taken, too. I was afraid that Dave was going to start out by saying something negative about the fact that I stole Kim back from y'all to carry on our land protection program, but we're glad to have her back. And I want to thank you all for the partnership that the Eno River Association has with Orange County. It's been great. It's going to continue to be great. We're going to close 2 easements, I think, before the end of the year that we've done together. It's all good. We're partnering with you and others on the regional corridor plans. So it's a great partnership, and it's been fun to be part of it. I'm going to stay, I think, on our Land and Stewardship Committee, so you might even see me here again. Who knows? But I've also figured out that I've come to see you every year since 2004 at this meeting to bring you Eno calendars. And Jessica Sheffield, who's the new executive director, who's going to be wonderful, couldn't come tonight, and she was very sorry about that, but she asked me to bring them, so I get to do it one more time. It's been so much fun every year. So I bring you greetings from the Eno River Association and want to thank you for this and for everything else.
Thank you so much. And do you want to give us the calendars?
I do.
Because I am always excited. This is one of the
And
prettiest.
also to say to other staff that Donna has more calendars, and now she's over kind of in a cubby hole somewhere, but you can find her. So, thank you.
And Robin, I just want to say thank you for what you've done for Orange County.
Robin, thanks a lot.
Just, all that hard work
Well, you guys are great partners.
and leading us through uncharted paths.
I think I have every one of you given us.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And especially thanks to Dave.
Any additional comments? We're not going to make you all stay here all night. Yeah, I knew. Thank you for coming, Commissioner Jacobs. Okay, now I'm going to invite Dinah Jeffries to the podium, and she's going to introduce Captain Buck Simmons from the Veterans Foreign War Post 9100.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Rich, County Manager. We appreciate being given the time to present and recognize one of our own. The mission statement of the Veterans of Foreign Wars is to foster camaraderie among United States veterans of overseas conflicts, to serve our veterans, the military, and our communities, to advocate on behalf of all veterans. Captain Buck Simmons, former United States Marine Corps pilot, flew 920 combat missions in Vietnam and received multiple medals and awards during his service. His proudest accomplishment was in the number of Marines he was able to keep alive. The VFW Post 9100 has ventured out to embrace other community providers, law enforcement, fire, EMS, teachers, and recognize a selected individual who has served with dedication and selflessness to those in need of help. And we are very honored that our organization was one of the ones to be recognized. And if Mr. Simmons?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please excuse my voice. Normally I sound and look just like Tom Selleck, but tonight I have a bit of a cold, so bear with me. The Veterans of Foreign Wars likes to be involved in the community. We like to recognize those people who give back to the community. We think of ourselves as being first responders, and to that end, I'd like to tell you a little story. Jim Bell and I launched on a medevac mission, that is to go out and pick up a wounded Marine in July the 27th of 1970. We were on station for about 10 minutes when we were shot down. There were 4 aircraft out there. One of them was piloted by Ray Norton. Ray landed about 200 yards to our west, and Jim and I made our way over there and jumped on board. To this day, I thank Ray every time I talk to him. I say, Ray, thanks for coming to get us. Ray says, it wasn't any trouble, you were on my way. So we got on board and Ray lifted up, we got up to about 500 feet, and I thought, I'm going to live through this maybe. And he went right back down again to pick up the medevac we had set out to get in the first place. So it didn't make sense to take the medevac into a firefight to get us. It made more sense to pull us out of the firefight and then go get the medevac. So we picked up the medevac and we started to lift off again. And I was feeling real sorry for myself. I said, this is just awful. This is going to be a long year if this keeps up. And I looked over at this corpsman who was tending to the wounded Marine. And I thought, he does this every day. And all of a sudden, I didn't feel so sorry for myself. And I felt real warm towards this corpsman who put his life on the line, taking care of other Marines. So with that said, I'd like to bring these to the fore. This is an expression of the Veterans of Foreign Wars' warmth and love for the American people who provide us with emergency medical service.
Sir, can you speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry, I'll try.
Fine, yeah.
I'm going to give this to you, if I may, and I'd like to read this one. This says, Veterans of Foreign Wars, the United States, C.V. Cummings, Chapel Hill Post, number 9100, Emergency Medical Service Award, presented to Sarah Pickard. This is a surprise to Sarah. She doesn't know she's getting it. But I'd like to point out, Sarah, this isn't really just from us. This is from all of your friends and neighbors at the EMS. You were chosen by them, those people who know you the very best.
Thank you.
And I'd like to ask Dinah if she'll read for us now.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Kirby to come up. He also has a presentation, and I'm going to have Kirby read this.
Oh, sure. We also have some special visitors. This is a surprise to Sarah, but her
Yep.
parents are also here in the back room. It's very hard to keep this a secret, but this is a citation presented to Sarah Pickard, our EM planner. Sarah Pickard has distinguished herself by exceptional meritorious achievement as an emergency management planner with Orange County Emergency Services. In 2019, Sarah developed, organized, and delivered a multi-series preparedness workshop for local businesses in both Hillsborough and Chapel Hill, partnering with the Chamber of Commerce. During the response to Hurricane Dorian in 2019, Sarah was requested and deployed to assist Hyde County, specifically tasked with coordinating the ferry schedules for shuttling relief supplies and personnel to Ocracoke Island. Sarah's exceptional ability to positively interact with a multitude of diverse partners in pursuit of mission success, coupled with her ability to effectively support complex interagency endeavors, has resulted in enhanced community resiliency. Through CERT, or the Community Emergency Response Team, she has empowered the volunteers to become self-governing and self-promoting. Despite minimal experience with local emergency management and local emergency operations centers, Sarah has served as the EOC manager during multiple operational periods on many activations of the Orange County EOC. And during the severe weather of April 2019, using her knowledge of volunteer relief organizations, Sarah pursued organizations to assist Orange County residents recovering from the EF2 tornado strike. This action alone resulted in thousands and thousands of dollars saved by the disaster survivors and an untold burden lifted. The distinctive accomplishments of our emergency management planner, Sarah Pickard, reflect credit upon herself, Orange County Emergency Services, and the County of Orange, North Carolina. So. We have one additional.
Can I invite Mom and Dad up?
Yeah. Our coveted Emergency Services Challenge coin that she's been eyeing, and it's got her name on it, her battle name, so congratulations.
Very proud of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on up.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and Dinah, good job keeping that a secret.
Yeah.
It worked. That was awesome. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to invite Gary up. Gary Donaldson, please, a presentation of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, FYE 6/30/2019. The board will receive the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the fiscal end June 30, 2019. And if anyone wants to read this, the report is online. If anyone, any of the board members would like a copy of it, I know you know to contact Donna or Greg. And then we have the supplement that was at our places for this evening. So Gary, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So yes, we will be presenting the Comprehensive Financial Report. Our audit partner, Mr. James Spence, is here, who will do a presentation after I do a succinct just overview of some supplemental information in terms of our fiscal performance for fiscal year 2019. So the first thing I'd like to add is that in terms of our unassigned fund balance and our county policies, we ended the year with the unassigned fund balance at 16.5% of expenditures. As you know, the policy is 16%. Have another table here that will go through a general fund budget versus actual performance. All of our funds as well did come in within budget. If there was a draw on fund balance, when you see on one of the slides, it was budgeted, so there were no surprises with respect to fund balance draws. A couple highlights, as you know, we have been trying to mitigate or reduce the reliance of the transfer to the solid waste fund. So that was reduced from $100.5 million in fiscal year 2018 to $126,510 for fiscal year 2019. Another highlight is, and Commissioner Jacobs left, but this was always something that he'd asked about in terms of our investments in ensuring that we were really being proactive. So we increased our investment earnings by $358,000. As you know, we funded the capital program. We had issued $14.1 million in limited obligation bonds to fund IT infrastructure, remediation projects, and also vehicle replacements, while at the same time affirming our AAA rating by all three credit agencies. So just a general fund budget versus actual overview. In terms of performance, property taxes, as you can see, came in slightly over the final budget of $158.1 million. The excellent work of the tax office contributes to that. They have, as you know, one of the highest tax collection rates in the state. Also, good performance on sales tax revenues, budget versus actual. 1.9 million over the budget. In terms of the intergovernmental revenue, that really is a wash because that is grant-related revenue that was tied to reimbursable expenses. So on the income statement, it was not a loss to us there. Charges for services, again, as you can see, came in $683,000 over the budget. Investment earnings came in $743,000 over the budget. So looking at the expenditures, which are indicated by functional leadership team, again, and this is historic, we come in 3 to 4% below the budget. If you look at support services, want to know what happened there, that is primarily the IT expenditures as a result of the cyber event that occurred. And so this is just a snapshot if you wanted to see, aside from the general fund, how are the other funds performing for the county? And again, alluded to the unassigned general fund balance there. Beginning balance was $34.4 million. And ending balance was $35.6 million. Across the board, article sales tax, we picked up $700,000 to fund balance. Community development fund, basically break even. Housing section fund, $166,000 was the beginning fund balance, and it ended at $363,000. So really as you look at the emergency telephone fund and look at the drop there, that was a budgeted use of fund balance. The E91 board mandated that we use our fund balance to purchase backup equipment for the emergency services. And that's part of our application for a review of the subscriber fee. So the enterprise fund net position, again, is strong. Slight increase for the solid waste enterprise fund, $10.9 million, and finished at $11 million. The Sportsplex enterprise fund, $3.5 million, and the ending net position is $3.6 million. And so this last slide, in terms of looking at the revenues and what is the Department of Finance responsible for, of the 7 categories listed earlier, investment earnings under the statute is under the Department of Finance. And again, as Commissioner Jacobs had asked, what are we doing? We put together 4 years ago a proactive treasury plan to ensure that cash is not idle. It's called a laddered approach. So we look at our disbursements, we purchase securities, those securities mature in time to meet our disbursements and not having it sit in cash. And so you can see when we put that program in place in fiscal year 2016, we were at 151,000. And for the fiscal year that just closed 2019, we're at 1.1 million. So that's just an overview. And now Mr. Bentz will come up and do the second part of the presentation.
Great, thank you. While Mr. Bench is coming up, does anyone have any questions for Gary? Commissioner Markopoulos.
I'm curious, the background on the housing section and fund that made such a phenomenal leap forward?
So there were transfers in also from the general fund, but in terms of the revenues from the intergovernmental revenues at the federal level and not incurring the expenditures, they just had good performance, which ended up increasing the fund balance by 200,000. And we can give more a breakdown in terms of that particular fund and the other drivers.
Thanks.
Commissioner Green.
If I could follow up on that, yeah, I'd like to know more about that, because I thought the point of the Section 8 or housing choice vouchers was to get the money and give it out to people to use for rent. So does this mean that they're sitting there because people can't find places to live to use the vouchers?
No, that's not it. And there's a timing element to this as well. So it's looking at June 30th, what is the balance? So we can certainly tell more of the story there, but it's certainly not because we're not making disbursements to the recipients. That's not the case.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is James Bentz, and I am the audit service partner for the county's audit engagement. I know it's on the screen. I think you all had access to our auditor's presentation. I'm not going to read it all. It does include a lot of the required communication that we have to make to the board, but that doesn't require me to sit here and verbally tell you everything that's in the report. So I'm going to skip around, hit a few different pages, but if there's at any point you have a question, feel free to interrupt, and I'll try to answer it the best I can. Page 2 gives a little information about our firm. Just you guys see us once a year, but just to remind you kind of what we do and how we work within the government sector. Page 3 really gets into what the audit requirement is from our standpoint. So the comprehensive annual financial report is your annual financial statements that you prepare for the state. As your independent auditor, it's our responsibility to audit those financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. What that means is we don't test 100% of your transactions. We're not giving you an absolute assurance on your reports, but what we do is issue an opinion as to whether or not they're materially correct as presented by management. That means we do sampling and we do testing of transactions and the reporting in order to issue our opinion to that standpoint. For 2019, we issued an unmodified opinion, which is the clean opinion, which is what you've received in the past, that says that the financial statements prepared by your management team are materially correct as presented. And so that's kind of the thumbs up that everybody wants to achieve. Through that audit process, you have a component unit that you report, which is required by the state. The ABC board is not audited by us. It's audited by its own auditors, and they contract with them independently. However, they are required to be part of your report. So our opinion as it relates to them is 100% purely tied to the opinion they receive from their auditors. And so they are included in your financial statements, and we did include them in our opinion, but that's based on the opinion, which was unmodified as well from their auditors. And so I just want to make sure that's clear, and they're part of your report, but not part of our procedures. As well as reviewing the actual presentation of the financial information, we also review kind of your accounting policies and procedures that your accounting team or your finance team puts together and they follow. We're looking for unusual items or inconsistencies with other local governments, and through that process, we did not notice anything that kind of drew our attention in that area. So generally speaking, that's something that a lot of boards kind of want to know about, if there's anything unusual in their accounting policies kind of outside the norms, and we didn't note anything in that area as part of this year's audit. We did have some audit adjustments that were required in the audit. They've been provided to management. They're included in your financial statements. And we've gone over those and are still working with management, going over some of those and the kind of corrective action of how to make sure those are all internally generated going forward. Let's see. On the bottom of page 6, I've mentioned this before, but again, just to reiterate, we are an independent external audit firm. We did not make decisions and come to conclusions. All the information in your financial statements are management information, and we've audited that presentation and that information from our external audit standpoint. Some of the information that Mr. Donaldson's gone over, generally when people kind of look at a government and they want to look government to government, they want to see how are you doing, or maybe the board or members of management ask how are we doing as a government. One of the areas everyone looks is your general fund balance, and that's just because every government has a general fund. What comprises the general fund is different at every place, but for the most part everybody is at least going to have a general fund. And what you'll the way we kind of look at that and the way external parties will look at that is they look at your general fund as it relates to your annual expenditures. And so you'll see the chart here are your different components of fund balance, being what's been restricted from the state stabilization standpoint, which in a very high-level summary version is basically all of your assets which do not represent cash. And then you've got your assignments and your unassigned fund balance. Your assignments represent what you've appropriated for 2020 budget purposes, and your unassigned is what's essentially, as the turn of the year at June 30, 2019, what was already available going forward beyond 2020, or potentially to be used in mid-year appropriations in 2020. So as Mr. Donaldson said, you ended the year at 16.5%. That breaks down to about, sorry, let me pull my page up, about 60 days of operations for the county. If you include the state stabilization amount, which again is mostly just your assets minus cash, you end up at about 87 days of operations. GFOA, a national organization who you submit your CAFR to for the review, they generally recommend for a June 30 year end to have somewhere between 45 and 60 days of unassigned fund balance. So your unassigned is at 60, and if you include the state stabilization, which is purely a North Carolina requirement, not a national, so obviously GFOA doesn't acknowledge that in their evaluations, you're at 87 days of fund balance. The page 9, Mr. Donaldson went over probably a more detailed version of what I've got, but we've got we call it the 30,000 mile level review here. We're just looking at revenues as a total and expenditures as a total. You can see at the start of the year, you all appropriated to use about $8.8 million of fund balance in order to balance operations. Through mid-year appropriations, we ended up authorizing $10.8 million of the use of fund balance through both revenues coming in greater than anticipated, as well as expenditures coming in at the 3.5% under budget. We ended up adding 2.7 to the general fund balance. And so you can see kind of the swing there and where we had planned use of fund balance versus actually adding to that. That net transfers line includes kind of the ins and outs of the transfers going in and out of the general fund. You'll see down at the bottom, that bottom bullet, kind of the big items coming in are big items netted together into that number. We got about $1.5 million going into school capital improvements and some of the interest earnings from the bonds that we issued for the school funds were transferred back to the general fund to cover the debt service payments the general fund makes on those school bonds. And then we've had some other transfers to other funds for operating and grant purposes. One of the other places a lot of people will look, and we kind of like to point out, is your enterprise funds. They're not accounted for in the same manner that a general fund's accounted for, and so they're on a full accrual basis. And one of the ways that people will look at those funds to evaluate how they're doing or how they performed is to look at the cash flows. And so we've got your solid waste fund and your sportsplex. If you look at that top chart, you'll see both funds generated positive cash flows from operations this year. The solid waste fund brought in about $1.1 million, and sportsplex had about $300,000. Generally, when you see positive cash flows from operations, you want to see that entity's so to sort of say, reinvesting in itself, and so that they're either making capital acquisitions or potentially paying for debt service, which was issued for previous acquisitions. And you'll see down in the cash flows from capital and related items, Solid Waste Fund acquired about $750,000 worth of capital-related items, as well as we're making payments of about $800,000 on existing debt service for the fund. So that's where you see the fund making the cash in operations. That's where they're using those proceeds. And I think Mr. Donaldson also mentioned that middle row there in the past has been a much larger number. This year, the Solid Waste Fund was able to break even with very minimal transfers of support from the general fund. So we ended up moving about $126,000 over during the course of the year for the supplement for the Solid Waste Fund this year.
Do we get a copy of this PowerPoint?
It's attached as a link.
Oh, link, okay.
Yeah.
Along with the financial audit, we also do compliance audits. We're required to do a compliance audit on your federal and state programs. Anytime you have more than $750,000 of federal programs expended in a year or $500,000 of state programs expended in a year, you're required to have an audit of those programs. And so this year, you can see you all had about $17 million in federal expenditures and $4.3 million in state expenditures. We've audited 5 programs, which are required under the coverage ratio, or the coverage requirements for both the state and federal programs. The federal programs we looked at were the child support enforcement, Medicaid, and Section 8 housing vouchers. The numbers out to the right there are their CFDA numbers, which is how the federal government identifies each one of those programs. And so that's not a coverage number or anything, that's just the identifier. And then we also looked at your Juvenile Crime Prevention Council and the lottery proceeds state programs for compliance testing. Page 12, this year, through the audit adjustments, I know I mentioned earlier we had a few audit adjustments. We had one finding as a result of audit adjustments this year, which is an improvement from where we were last year. This item deals with equity reconciliation, which is really just kind of the period that adjustment's reported. It's an audit adjustment from last year, which wasn't posted to the opening balances. We've kind of met with management and gone over kind of where the miscommunication and the slip on this was. But it's something that was recorded on your books. It's just a matter of which period it was being reported in and affecting the opening balances of that period. So.
Are you talking about the link that was in the agenda item, which
Yeah.
goes to the actual financial report?
It goes in this, yeah.
Well, I don't see that on the link. Do you have that?
It wasn't that was sent out, not this?
No.
No, yeah, so I'd like to get a copy of this PowerPoint,
Didn't we send out a
if possible.
PowerPoint?
The link is to the full report, what
Yes,
James
the full
Ennis looking
report,
at. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
What I
That's
want
where
to
he's
see is,
picking
yeah,
the
but I
pages
want to
from.
see this. It would be
Pages don't
helpful.
This is a separate document from the CAFR.
Yeah, so could we make that
Okay,
available?
we'll get
Yeah.
that for everyone. We'll send that out.
Sorry, I thought you meant the whole report.
No, I meant this.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear that it's not that I didn't get it, or didn't read it, that we didn't get it.
Starting on page 14, the last couple of slides I have are really just the GASBs, which is the accounting standard setting body for governments. This year, during the audit, GASB statement number 88, which deals with the disclosures related to your financing agreements, was implemented, and those standards have been considered and incorporated into your financial statements. And page 15 and the next couple of pages are future GASBs, which will be applicable mainly starting with 2021, but GASB 90 is applicable in this active year. However, it doesn't currently apply to Orange County. And so we always want to just provide that information to the board. It is something we work with management as the standards are coming out to make sure that they're aware of the new accounting standards and they're being appropriately implemented. On the page 15, the big one that's going to come out in 2021 deals with accounting for leases, and it's going to make some pretty big changes to the way all local governments report all of their existing financing arrangements. It's doing away with the concept of operating and capital leases, and it's going to purely look at, do you have arrangements where you've agreed to make payments in the future years and how you account for those contracts. But again, you've got one more year before that's applicable. With that, that's all I have for the presentation. If you all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Just to be clear for Commissioner Dorson, so these are not from the book that we've got our link to?
They're not direct extracts, no ma'am. This is something we put together for the presentations.
The only PowerPoint that was attached to your agenda was Gary's PowerPoint.
Gary's PowerPoint.
So this one wasn't. We'll make sure that you get a copy of this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Commissioner Dorson, I thought it was pulling directly from the
No,
report.
I'm sure the information comes out of the report,
Yeah.
but not having the PowerPoint and be able to follow the presentation is more challenging.
Right.
Okay, do we have any questions? Commissioner Bedford?
So ultimately, looking at this general fund versus actual, where we had 3.2 million more in revenues and 7.9 less in expenses for a total of 11 million more dollars. What's the sequence? Was that built into the budget for 1920 already, those changes? Or how much more money can we spend that we weren't planning on? What's the journal entry going to be to the starting balances for 1920? How much more money do we have than we thought we'd have? And you don't have to answer it tonight. You can get back to us. Yep.
Sure. I guess I'm struggling to think of your answer because a lot of these variances aren't related to audit adjustments. So these are just how the county's general fund performed. So
okay.
I guess some of that would probably be something Mr. Donaldson could answer as far as, I think if you'll give me just a minute. Let's see.
So they were probably already done by the finance department before the auditors came in, a bulk of, a large amount of them, as budget amendments, as far as this 11 million?
Well, the 11 million is actuals over the appropriated budgets. And so there was not, obviously, there was not an amendment to bring those up, but you've already used, and we're reporting 7.8 million of fund balance in your original adoption of the fiscal year 2020 budget.
Thank you, that helps. Okay.
Commissioner Green?
Yeah, this is a question for our staff. The reduction in subsidy to the solid waste fund, I knew we were trying to reduce the subsidy, but that's a very dramatic number. Did we expect it to be that great?
Yes. For 2019-20, the budgeted amount is 0. So our goal is 0. I think, did we have $500,000?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, we had $500,000 budgeted for for 18-19. And so we were hoping to do that fairly quickly. And we've been able to do it. The other thing I would add, and this is just kind of to show that we're working hard to improve our budget process, and that is the first year that I was here, and you all might remember this, but we had revenues that came in about 8% over, and we were spending 95%. So we were 13% off in regards to what our budget was. Right now, we're 1.5% and 3%, which is much closer because, as you know, whether it's a surplus or a deficit, it still is impactful because we're making decisions based on that. So we are closer, and I want to really give some kudos to the budget staff and also to the finance staff, because also, as the auditor indicated, last year they had 4 findings. This year they had 1 finding, and it was pretty small. So we're trying hard to do better, and we'll continue to do that.
So I want to go back to James Etta's point on this slide right here. Just can you just walk me through that, the bullet point about the fund balance, and just walk me through that line. So we had originally budgeted that we were going to take 8 million out. It's hard to, I can't really see those numbers. But we were going to take 8 million from the fund balance and put it into the general fund. Is that what that first column means?
Yes.
Well, you were going to reduce the general fund's fund balance, and you were going to use that to cover operations.
Right. And then at some point, we decided we were going to add another million something, almost 2 million to that we were going to reduce it by, right?
Yes.
That's the second column. And then so that third column is the total. And then it turned out we actually only took 2 million because of all the other good, because we had better revenues and lower expenditures.
Well, you actually added 2. So you didn't take the 2 million, we added 2 reserves.
So we didn't take anything out.
Correct.
And we added 2 million. So we actually, and then the final column is?
It's just a pure math of the difference between the appropriation
Gotcha.
and the actual.
Okay.
And I guess just to, we added the 2.6, the 2.7 million to the fund balance this year. And as I said, you've already appropriated 7.8. Going back, I think, to this slide, I guess keep in mind, when we added the 2.7, we reached the 16.5% unassigned number. So obviously, it looks like we have sort of found money, so to say, but obviously the more you use that, you're going to eat into that 16.5%. I mean, You don't have a big gap between what you all have set as your 16% goal and more money to appropriate. So.
And then I'm looking at this letter that you sent that was at our places.
Yes,
and item number 6 in this letter talks about information technology and the risks, cybersecurity, and has some recommendations about additional steps we can take. I just wonder, did you know, or does this take into account the new staff or the position we created about cybersecurity? And
So this is from the auditor's perspective, and like when we were in the exit interview, he just reminded us this is something we need to be really aware of. The new position we're in the process of recruiting for now will begin, it was budgeted as of January 1st, 2020. So this will help with number 6.
Right, that's
So
what I wanted to
next year, when they look at it, we'll be able to show that we have a position on staff and we're doing more things towards the cybersecurity.
And all of this is as of June 30th, 2019.
Right.
So
I was just asking for that same reason that the manager said. Does that what we're doing begin to address the concerns identified here?
Yes.
Additional questions? So Bonnie, when we get that PowerPoint, should we just send questions to you and Gary if there's any from that PowerPoint?
Just go ahead and send questions to Gary or I. I'll copy Gary on it so that you can just reply all when you have questions.
Okay, is that all right, folks, if there's additional questions? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all.
All right, we have no public hearing this evening, so we can move to our regular agenda. And this is the boards will consider selecting the boards and commissions on which board members would like to serve during the year of 2020. So that's January 2020 through December 2020. Before we start doing that, let's clear up a few questions that came through emails to us. So one of the questions was, why do we pick the NACO and the NCACC at our organizational meeting now that we're doing everything before the end of the year? And at agenda review, we talked about it. We can do it where it's just a selection as opposed to actually nominating people and voting on it. The manager reminded us that it is an association. It's different than all our other boards and committees, and that's why we vote on it. But there's no reason why we couldn't just add that to the chart in the following years. So we just need to decide if we want to do that or not. And I don't know if there's any discussion on that. Commissioner Markopoulos?
I think we need to revisit a few aspects of this process, and maybe we can just do all that at sometime in next year. when
Okay. So we could do that if
revisit the
everyone's
whole
okay with
thing
that, but.
instead of tonight.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to address the things that came through the email. So
Right,
that's,
yeah.
that's what I,
I'm just suggesting
So if you want-
we deal with it later.
discuss that at like a work session, we could do that. Okay. Then the next question was if you had gotten on a board and it never met throughout the year and then it met once at the very end of the year, or if you were appointed to a newly formed board towards the end of the year, do you get to keep that board? And Donna said traditionally, it has been that you do get to stay on that board if you would like to. If you don't want to, then you can give that board up. But traditionally, folks have stayed on the board. I know it happened to me when I was on the Chatham Orange Work Group. We didn't meet all year, and then we met at the end of the year. So the request was that we could stay on that board. So I guess we could talk about that at a work session also, but that was one of the questions that came up. It's been a tradition that folks can stay on that board.
Well, I think what we generally did was just asked, and the group just said, okay.
Right, so we can add that to the work session also. The question about,
Is that going to affect the picking tonight?
Yeah.
well, it shouldn't, because we already have those people that are on there, for example.
Is there anybody that fits in that situation?
Yes, there is. There's Commissioner, and it has it here. So you have the two NACO, on page 6 of your, NACO is on there already on page 6. And then Commissioner Markopoulos just got onto the Climate Change Board that met mid-year. So it would be the Climate Committee, rather. So it would be, it's a mid-year appointment. See, it says that under their mid-year appointment. So when we have mid-year appointments, he could request to stay on that board.
So, and I'm similarly with the Orange County Behavioral Health Task Force.
Right.
Where it was mid-year. But I think if I chose to stay on it, then after you're saved, then that, in the next round, when people are picking, that would be a pick, or else I end up with too many committees.
Not really.
You know?
I mean, because at the end, you don't have to keep going. You can say that you have enough.
Okay.
So if you're keeping that board because you hit it mid-year, you can consider that one of your boards, and you can say at the end that you pass. You don't have to keep choosing.
That's fine with me.
Is that okay with everyone? Commissioner Price?
But does that mean that it's an automatic?
Well, no, we can ask. So for Commissioner Markopoulos is going to ask us if he can stay on the Climate Committee, because he was
Or else he can
mid-year.
just pick it.
Commissioner Bedford is going to ask us if she can stay on the committee. It's not a pick. They've already been appointed either mid-year or at the very end of the year.
I understand that. I'm just asking what this, I'm throwing it out there for the board to decide, to get the feeling of the rest of the board.
To let them stay.
Yeah.
So it's not a pick.
It's not a pick.
It's
Okay, so
automatic,
it's just
which
a
kind of
done.
gets back to
Yeah.
where we were before, where we saved.
I can't believe how much time we spent talking about this, to be
Yeah,
honest with you,
okay.
but I appreciate it.
Okay. And then there was another question about AWASA. The AWASA is not a board or committee. It's just something that Commissioner Markopoulos and I do to meet, because we wanted to meet with them. So it's not on here as a board or committee. Just like you can meet with any of the other chairs of our boards. I mean, I meet with Paige Zinn every other month. She's the chair of the.
Okay.
So that doesn't really fit into this. And then, Jamesetta, I need you to explain.
Okay.
Your Cardinal stuff to us, because I want to make sure that we're covering it all on here.
Okay. So I was the Central Region, Cardinal Central Region, our commissioner appointee, pick a year ago. And Cardinal is reorganizing, and they're in the midst of it. And they will have a county, Orange County, Community Advisory Committee. That the commissioners Cardinal will vet them through their process, and Travis is looking in to see whether we can also then add people to that committee or not, or they have to go through Cardinal's process. And that window closed November 24th. And then the commissioners will appoint to that, or approve to that new board. And they'll meet during the days. I imagine it'll be 8 out of 12 months. The chair of that committee will then move to the newly created Regional 5 County Health Committee is what they're calling it. And so I thought, do we need to add that position here? Since it's supposed to be up and starting around January, although, I'll believe it when I see it. It might be February before that gets done. And I was just late to realize it was missing, and it had already gone out in the, the minutes. That's fine with me.
And then we could nominate someone for that appointment as they decide to bring that board online.
Cardinal's going to pick who goes on that board?
Cardinal's going to pick who goes on the Regional Health Board, yes. But and they had an application process for the local Orange County Community Board. They'll just send the names to us. The BOCC will pick who goes on that and appoint then.
And that can include a commissioner?
Well, I applied just to be safe, although I was a day late because we weren't sure. But hopefully, yes. Travis, you found out?
Yes.
Oh, yes, good. Yeah.
Do you know how many others are going to be on that board, James Etta?
There's not a set amount
Okay.
on that one. There's 15 with different criteria. I mean, they set that there has to be a family member and there has to be some other category, and then the community, family advisory group will appoint one person to it also.
And Cardinal picks the regional committee.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an advisory committee, it's not a governing board.
It's advisory up to the health committee, then the health committee will quarterly meet, or 3 times a year, will meet with the actual Cardinal boards. And they'll have a Cardinal board member on that health committee as well.
And does that mean what's on this list as the Cardinal Innovations County Commissioner Advisory Board, that's not there anymore?
That's different. That's an entirely separate board Renee's been serving on that actually helps vet and appoint the board members to the Cardinal board, as well as did you do the CEO too, or no? No, okay.
Yeah, that's complicated.
I think it was different when I was on it, I think.
Oh, this was created after the state takeover.
Yeah.
And they had
Yeah.
appoint a new board. Yeah, yeah.
So how's everyone feeling about appointing someone when that board comes around, as
I think
opposed to
that makes
putting-
sense.
That's fine.
Yeah, because you have to apply to it.
Yeah, and then we can, so James, Etta, do you want to keep us, I'm going to call everyone by their first
There's a chance
names.
they might not
Liz.
pick you. Is that possible?
We
Oh,
would pick her.
We could pick one of us. Oh, yeah, right, there's 5 really good commissioners who had been on the Central Regional. I don't know if they've applied or not. Friday, King Jones is supposed to be presenting to the subcommittee this week, and then the Cardinal Board will approve. Unfortunately, I can't go this Friday to keep them
What
honest.
I mean is, they're going to send us a list of people for this Orange County Committee that they're going to pick from everybody who applied for it.
They will send us the full list. They will send us the full list.
Oh, okay.
They will.
And they'll, with their recommendations.
No, they're not even going to, I don't even think they'll recommend, but
Okay.
they'll help categorize them, that this person meets
I got you.
this
So we have
niche.
carte blanche to pick who we want to be on that. Okay.
Including
that's
a
helpful.
commissioner.
Right. What I was trying to figure out is if they didn't forward us the name of someone we wanted to be on
They will
there.
forward all the names, and even for the central thing, they will make recommendations, but they will forward all the names to the full board.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I wanted to mention just to everyone, I know I've spoken with Commissioner McKee about this and several of y'all, but right now Commissioner McKee this is about the Community Home Trust. Commissioner McKee is the representative. I'm also on that board as a community member, and there's been some concern that maybe it does look like the board has 2 members on there. And so I'm certainly happy to resolve that concern if I were to be named by you all to be that. If someone else is the CHT person, then I'll stay on the board, and there will be 2 of us, because I will represent the community, not the board. But it would clarify that if y'all would appoint me as the CHT, and Commissioner McKee is, I think you and I talked about that, right?
I would
You're fine
defer
with
to
that.
Commissioner Green
Yeah.
for the board appointment.
Okay, so let's do, as we're doing the appointments, we'll all keep that in mind.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we're going to do the save order first, but first I think we should ask Commissioner Markopoulos and Commissioner Bedford if they would like to stay on their mid-year terms, and we should approve those. So Commissioner Markopoulos is on the Climate Committee, which is on page, well, it's page 4. I'm going to just go what's on the pages here. So it's page 4, and then Commissioner Bedford is on page 6, Orange County Behavioral Health Task Force.
Yes, thank you.
You would like to do that?
I have a meeting tomorrow, actually.
Okay. And Commissioner Markopoulos, you would like to stay on there? Okay, so let's cross those two off, folks. Those are taken.
Which one is that?
Page 6,
No,
bottom
one for
one, and page 4, second one. All right, and if it's okay if I call everyone by their first name, we can get through this a little bit quicker. So if you can give us the page number and where it's sort of located on the page would also be very helpful. Commissioner McKee, would you like to keep anything?
Yeah, I'd like to keep Board of Health one more year, page 3, second item.
Page 3, second item. Okay, so that's done. Okay, Commissioner Dorson, I'm sorry, Mark.
Nothing. I'm not saving anything.
Okay, Renee?
DCHC MPO.
Could you speak just a little bit?
DCHC MPO, sorry.
What page is that?
Page?
4.
Okay. Okay, and I'm not going to keep anything. Commissioner Mark, I'm sorry, Mark?
I'm going to keep Go Triangle.
Which one?
Page and...
Page 5, verse 3.
Okay, that's done.
Triangle, Go Triangle?
Yep.
Okay.
James Etta, do you have a keep?
Page 7, the Orange County Partnership for Young Children.
Partnership.
Unless somebody else really wants it, I'm happy to, I'm happy to let you.
Mark does this all
Oh.
the time.
Okay.
Okay, it's like the draft pick. Da, 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 da.
So, James said,
Okay.
Commissioner Bedford, are you taking Partnership for Young Children?
Page 7,
Okay.
top
On
one.
page 7. And the reason is because Mia Burrows has agreed to be a board member, and I'll get to see her every other month.
Okay. And Sally, you get a save,
Okay.
if you would like one.
Yeah. I'll take the Justice Advisory Council.
Page, please.
6.
That is page 6, number 3.
6, number 3. Okay, so then we have one seat left on that. Okay. Commissioner Dorson, you get a pick from your, since you didn't get a save.
I'll take the Durham Tech Board of Trustees, page 4, next to last column.
Page 4, next to last. Okay. And I am going to take the fire chiefs. Okay, folks, now we're going to start the rounds. Thank you, that went pretty smoothly. Okay.
So far.
So far. So far. All right, remember, just tell us the page just so we can all cross it off. So Sally, we're going to start with you, then it's James Etta, Mark, Penny, Renee, Mark, and Earl, and we're sitting in that order.
Okay, TJ Cog, which is page 8, number 1.
Page 8, number 1. Okay.
Which board was that?
TJ Cog, page 8, number 1.
8.
And you're going in as a member?
She's the member.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, James Etta?
The page 8, the Visitors Bureau.
Okay. Mark?
Page 7, the Solid Waste Advisory Group.
And I'm going to take page 7, Solid Waste Advisory Group. Renee?
Justice Advisory Council. Oh, wait a minute, no, I take that back. I'll take the North-South BRT.
Which page?
6.
Mark Dorson?
I will take the, I'll take the, I will take the Orange County Affordable Housing Collaborative, page 5, the penultimate one on that page.
One up from the bottom there?
Yes.
Okay. And Earl?
Yeah, I'll stay on the Chapel Hill Chamber of Commerce one more year.
Page, please.
4, top of the page. I'm sorry.
Or top of the page. Okay.
Now Earl goes.
And then Earl, you go again.
Well, caught me sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy. It did catch me sleeping.
Take your time, it's okay.
Um,
Everybody could have a little breather.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think I'll take Food Council.
Food Council, page 5.
Page 5, second down.
Second down. Okay, and then now we're back to Mark Dorson.
I will take the, I'll take the ABC Board, page 3, number 1.
And Renee?
Justice Advisory Council.
I couldn't
Page.
hear you.
Justice Advisory Council and.
Okay.
it's,
Page.
Page 6, third one down. I'm going to do the Small Business Loan Program, page 7, fourth one, 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. Mark Markopoulos.
I'm going to do the J-Lo, Jordan Lake One Water Association.
Page 6, second one down.
Yep.
James Zetta.
DSS Board, page 1, Social Services.
Social Services. And
Where
Sally.
is that?
Page 1, third one
Page 3, I'm
down.
sorry.
Page 3.
3, I'm sorry, third one down. Sally, you get 2.
Okay, Partnership in Homelessness, and that is page 7, number 2.
Page 7, number 2, okay. And then you get
And-
another one.
Okay.
Number 2,
Yes, sir.
Partnership in,
Yeah.
Page 7, number 2.
And Family Success Alliance, which is, where is that? Page 4 at the bottom. Page 4 at the bottom.
page 4 at the bottom.
Okay, and James Zetta, back to you.
Yes, give me a second here.
Take your time, it's not a rush.
So did someone take JCPC on page 6?
Nope, that's yours.
Okay.
That's a good group. I have the schedule, I'll give it to you before you.
Which page?
Page 6, JCPC, that is the third one down. Okay, Mark Markopoulos.
The Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group, page 4 in the middle.
Okay. And I'm going to choose the Legislative Work Group. That is on page 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Renee?
Hold on. I'll stay on the Cardinal Innovations Commissioner Advisory Board.
So it's on page 3, the fourth one down?
Yes.
Okay, Mark Dorson.
I think I'll take, well, I want to, can I ask Sally, can I ask you a question about the Home Trust?
Sure, yeah.
So you're on the board as a,
As a community member,
and who appointed you to that?
the board. That was,
And there's been, and people are giving you grief because there's 2 commissioners on the board?
yeah.
There's concern that 2 commissioners on that board overweights
Yeah,
our representation.
I think that's legitimate, so I won't
Yep.
take that seat. I'll leave that. I will take, the, on page 3, the Chatham Orange Joint Planning Task Force. the bottom, last entry there.
Yeah, that's a good group, too.
Are you taking it as a member or an alternate?
I'm sorry?
I'm going as the member.
As a member, okay.
I thought, which one did you take? I got some
Durham
mixed
Chapel
up.
Hill.
From Chapel Hill.
Earl, you got 2.
Yeah. Has anyone chose Go Triangle Special Tax Board yet?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to take one of those positions. I
Okay.
think it's time I get a little more involved in Go Triangle.
That's a 1 meeting a year.
Yeah,
Or as needed.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then you got another one.
yeah.
Oh, wait. Yep. You got another one coming, Earl.
I know. I mean, it's got down now to where I've got to really scramble around to. Intergovernmental Parks Work Group, page 5, bottom of the page.
Page 5, bottom. And you want to be the member on that, right?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Member, absolutely. Okay, Mark Dorson.
Okay. I will pick the Strategic Communications Work Group, page 7.
Renee?
The other Go Triangle Tax Board.
Okay.
That's page 5, fourth one down.
Yeah.
That would be the of the other, on the tax board? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Special tax. I'm going to do the MPO alternate. Mark Markopoulos?
Okay, alternate.
What page is that on?
Oh, sorry, 4, fourth one down.
I'm going to do PFAP on page 7, number 3.
Page 7, number 3. Okay, James Zetta?
I wanted to point out that we have another, the Transit Planning Committee should also remain Markopoulos and Green if they're willing. We just appointed them here on page 7.
Oh, yeah, that's, well,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't even meet yet.
Yeah,
so,
they didn't
yes.
even meet. Okay, just so we know.
The
Yeah.
Transit Planning Committee, is that the
Steering
one you're talking
committee,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, that's off.
They didn't.
Okay.
Wait, what did you just pick, Mark?
Piedmont Food and Agricultural
PFAP.
Processing Center.
7, third down.
Gotcha.
And then James Zetta's up.
The Go Triangle Community Advisory Committee.
Okay. That's on page 5. 1,
Page
2,
5.
3, 4, 5 down. Okay, Sally, you got 2.
Home Trust and Tarpo,
Say that again, please.
Community Home Trust and Tarpo.
Community home, could you give us pages just so we can cross them off?
Tarpo is 7, bottom one.
7
Community Home Trust is 4, third one.
for the third one. Okay, James, it's back to you.
I'll do the Burlington Graham MPO again unless somebody else wants it. I can get there. And I come speeding down that hill back.
Okay, and you're the
And you want to be the
right?
member?
The member,
Okay.
uh-huh.
Okay, Mark Markopoulos.
I'll take the Joint Public Safety Training Facility Work Group,
Page, please.
top of page 6.
Page 6. Okay. I'm going to do the other seat on the strategic communications. And Renee.
The other seat on the Training Facility Work Group on page 6.
The other seat on what?
The Joint Public Safety Training Facility Work Group.
Page 6, number 1.
Okay.
Mark Dorson.
All right, I just want to review what's left.
Okay, so let's go to
let's
page
go to
1.
the
We could do that. So on page 1, there's an alternate for the Burlington Graham.
Right, and then there's an alternate for the Chatham Orange.
And there's no, well, I'm already on the Chatham Orange, but there is an alternate for the Chatham Orange, right?
Right.
Just going over the, then everything on page 4 is picked. Oh,
Now,
no,
the
there's a-
Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group, we're missing 1.
Okay,
And then the Family Success Alliance,
right.
we're missing 1.
Oh, okay.
The following page, the Healthy Carolinas,
Yeah,
and on the bottom, Intergovernmental Park Work Group. There's 1. On the following page, which is page 6, it looks like those, oh, nope, the Legislative Work Group, there's one seat open.
Okay, I will pick the, I'll take the, legislative work group, the other seat.
Man, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Want that?
No, just kidding.
That's fine. I mean, if you want it, say it.
Send you back.
Serious, if you want it, say it right now, because
You
I'll
got
pick
it.
something else.
There you got it.
Are you sure?
Yep. Yeah,
Page
this is-
6, all right, that's going to be fun. We did that together once before.
So what did we do here now? Mark, you took the,
I took
The legislative.
Mark Dorson took legislative
Yeah.
work group, okay.
Yeah, so it looks like page 6 is complete, y'all, if you want to just
Yeah.
put your, cross that. And Earl, you're up with 2. Do you need to review again, or you got it?
No, I'm going to take the alternate position, Channel Orange Work Group or Task Force on page 3, bottom of the page.
Okay, and that's 1.
I'm, as you all are aware, I'm trying to avoid
Wait, the day,
midday
yeah,
meetings.
Yeah.
Do that Burlington Grand.
And I'm,
Well, the Chatham Orange, that's
Chatham
me
Orange
during
is
the
work.
day.
yeah, I'm gonna pass on.
But he's the
that.
alternate.
He's the
for that
alternate,
one.
then,
Yeah.
so, yeah. All right,
No,
so,
there, oh,
so we
yeah.
got to pass, okay. Mark Dorson.
All right, so, let's see.
Family Success, does Family Success Alliance still have one?
Family Success Alliance has 1 open. Healthy Carolinas is open. We got 1 on Intergovernmental Park Works
I'll
Group.
be the alternate on the intergovernmental parks, page
Okay.
5 at the bottom.
That's good. Renee?
Okay, that'll look
And
up.
is there
Go
one
for that
vacancy,
one.
another for Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group on page 4?
Those are, I have both of those crossed off.
Okay, who?
What, the Durham?
Not
No,
yet. No, I think we have
The
one.
Durham,
The Durham Orange,
Chapel Hill Work Group, there's still one vacancy.
Yeah, I'll take-
vacancy there.
I'll take that one.
Markopoulos was the only one on that.
Okay,
I'll
so.
take that
Okay.
one.
Okay, now
what
that's
page is
done.
that on?
4.
Oh, yep, there we go. Okay.
So,
All right,
Commissioner Price, do you want to do that one?
Yes, I did take that one.
Which one did you take?
Which one?
You took the
Durham,
Durham
page
Orange.
4, Durham Orange. So the only thing left on that page is the Family Success Alliance on the bottom.
Okay.
All right, let's see. I am going to,
You got a meeting tomorrow, you know? You got a meeting tomorrow for that group,
What group?
the one you just picked.
Wait a minute.
It says
It's
meets
okay.
meets
I'm
at the-
going.
meet tomorrow at noon.
I'm going, Renee.
Oh, wait.
I can go for you.
Which one did I just pick?
The Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group. It says meets 12/11/19.
Wait a minute, I might not be able to do that one.
I can
Yeah,
fill
but
that one in for
Oh,
you.
you're alternate.
Sorry.
I'm
No,
going to
two
do the
people go to
COG, the alternate.
There's 2 on that.
Wait a minute,
Oh, there's 2 commissioners. Okay. Starts with a T?
Page 8, the first one, those are done. So the only thing left on 8 is the Upper Neuse River Basin. Let's review, everyone, all right? Page 3, we have the Burlington Graham alternate, so that's there. Okay, everything is gone. Page 4, we have 1 on the Family Success Alliance, bottom of that. Page 5, we have Healthy Carolinas. Page 6 is done. Page 7, we have 1 on the Tarpo.
Go to all the Burlington Grand.
And page 8, we have both on the Upper Neuse.
Unlikely event.
Markopoulos, you're
I
up.
should probably come off the Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group because if they meet the same day as the MPO, that's too much.
Okay, so all right, everyone,
Back
hang
up
on,
to
hang on.
Price.
Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group, Commissioner Price, Renee is coming off, and she's going to choose something else.
Because
Same, all right.
those are both regulars, it's not an alternate.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
open again. So what do you want to do instead? And then we'll go to you, Mark, okay? Hang on one second, let's let Renee.
I gotta go back and see what. Are there 2 on TJ cog already?
Gone.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's what's left. Burlington Graham, alternate, Family Success Alliance, Healthy Carolinians, and Tarpo alternate, and Upper Neuse River Basin Association.
Okay, what is the Healthy Carolinians like?
Who does Healthy Carolinians? Commissioner Dorsey.
I do.
That's what I'm asking.
It's good. This year we spent a lot of time on the countywide health assessment, so that was.
I'll try it, I've never done it.
Okay, so Renee's picking Healthy Carolinas, page 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. All right, y'all, page 5 is done.
Okay.
All right, so Mark Markopoulos, you're up. What do you got?
I'm going to get back in my comfortable position as the Tarpo alternate.
Tarpo alternate, that page is
Bottom of 7.
bottom of 7. Okay, y'all, that looks like page 7 is done.
Family Success Alliance.
Family Success Alliance. That means page,
No, it's not done.
No, because the
Or-
Durham one is still.
we're bringing
open.
that one back, that's right.
Where's the
Okay.
Family Success Alliance?
the
It's the
bottom
bottom
of
of
4.
page 4.
I'm looking, Jesus Christ, looking straight at it.
Who took the Upper Neuse?
Nobody yet.
Nobody yet.
All right, Sally, you're up.
Did you go, James?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to do FSA with you.
Okay, I'll take the UNRBA.
Okay, that's the first seat, right?
Yep.
Page 8.
Page 8, number 2,
Yep.
and then
Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group.
Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group. Okay, so that's on page 4. 4 is done, y'all. Okay,
All right.
so
Five
let's,
is also
I will
done, isn't it?
be,
4 is done, 5 is done, 6 is done, 7 is done.
So 3 and 7,
So
or
it's
3 and
we have
8.
Burlington Graham MPO up for grabs, and the Upper Neuse River Basin.
all righty.
What do you got, James Etta?
Sally, what day of the week
Sally,
does the
take the
Upper Neuse River?
She said
It
there's
meets-
2 people.
It meets on Wednesdays from 9 till 11 in the morning. And
Do you know
it's-
which Wednesday?
In Butner.
It's up in
Sir-
Butner.
It's every
Not
month.
the third Wednesday, like
I
when I
don't
have the
remember,
visitors
I don't
bureau?
remember which
Come on.
Wednesday.
Do we have that? We could get that information.
I'll
for
be
you.
the alternate.
Alternate on Upper Neuse? Okay.
Yep.
All right, that takes care of page 8, y'all. All right, so we have
Okay,
one more
thanks.
left, right? Who wants to do that one? Come on, anyone?
I'll be the Burlington Graham alternate, MPO alternate.
Awesome.
Page 3, down at the bottom.
All right, that should do it. Does that make sense? Everyone got that?
Yep.
And who's the alternate on TJ Cog?
Me. Okay, so now the question is, traditionally, we would come back and vote at this at the next meeting, but we could vote on it tonight, and then we could all start our boards
Tomorrow morning.
ASAP.
Let's do it.
Last year, we did vote on it on the same night. We could always come back and amend. Donna told me that nothing is set in
Yeah, I
stone.
find
If
out
we
we
go
screwed
home
it
and we
up.
find that we have a conflict, we can try to mix and match up. But if we vote on it tonight, everyone can start their boards tomorrow. So what does everyone think?
Let's vote.
I'd put it in place now.
Put it in place, Everyone good with that? Commissioner Dorson?
Oh, yes, I couldn't be happier.
I know you're thrilled, I can see.
Yes.
All right, so let's-
I move the,
Yep.
do you want to review it before we move it, just to, would that be, or?
What, can we do that? Do you have everything written down so we could review it?
I do.
All right, is your microphone on? Because we can't.
Tell me it is.
I have a question. I just,
I've got it initialed.
I have a question here on the Board of Health. It also says that for Healthy Carolinians, it's often the same person?
It can be. It has been in the past, doesn't have to be. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hasn't been in the
All
past. I
right.
mean, I was it, and Earl was the.
Yeah, and Earl. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
The Healthy
Dorson has
Carolinians and the Board of Health.
made the motion. We need a second.
Second.
Did you, were you going to read it, or?
Did you want to read it?
Yeah.
Want me to go through it? Okay.
That's
a good
true.
Always a good idea. ABC Board, Mark Dorson. Board of Health, Earl McKee. Board of Social Services, James Etta Bedford. Cardinal Innovations County Commissioner Advisory Board, Renee Price. Burlington MPO, member James Etta Bedford, alternate Mark McCopolis. Chatham Orange Joint Planning Task Force, members Mark Dorson, alternate is Earl McKee. Chamber of Commerce, Earl McKee. Climate Committee, Mark McCopolis. Community Home Trust, Sally Green. Durham Chapel Hill Carver MPO, Renee Price member. Penny Rich is alternate. Durham Orange Chapel Hill Work Group, Mark McCopolis and Sally Green. Durham Tech, Mark Dorson, Family Success Alliance, Sally Green. I didn't get a second one on that.
Commissioner
Me?
Bedford.
Okay, Bedford, okay, let me get that one down. Okay, Fire Chiefs, Penny Rich, Food Council, Earl McKee, Go Triangle Board of Trustees, Mark McCopolis, Go Triangle Tax Board, Earl McKee and Renee Price, Go Triangle Community Advisory Committee, James Setta Bedford, Healthy Carolinians, Renee Price, Local Government Affordable Housing Collaborative, Mark Dorson, IP Work Group, Earl McKee member, Mark Dorson alternate, Public Safety Training Facility Work Group, Mark McCopolis and Renee Price, Jordan Lake One Water Association, Mark McCopolis, Justice Advisory Council, Sally Green and Renee Price, JCPC, James Setta Bedford, Legislative Issues Work Group, Penny Rich and Mark Dorson, NACO Voting Delegate, Chair Rich, NCACC Voting Delegate, Commissioner Bedford, BRT, North-South BRT, Renee Price, Behavioral Health Task Force, James Setta Bedford, Partnership for Young Children, James Setta Bedford, Partnership to End Homelessness, Sally Green, PFAP, Mark McCopolis, Small Business Loan Program, Penny Rich, SWAG, Mark McCopolis and Penny Rich, Strategic Communications Work Group, Mark Dorson, Penny Rich, Transit Planning Committee, Mark McCopolis and Sally Green, TARPO, Sally Green, member, Mark McCopolis, alternate. Let me see what this, TJ Cog is Sally Green member, Penny Rich alternate. IRMBA, Upper News River Basin Association, Sally Green and James Setta Bedford. Workforce Development Board, Nancy Costin will continue to attend those meetings. Visitors Bureau, James Setta Bedford.
Sounds
Any
good.
changes or edits?
Everybody all right
Okay.
with that?
And the vote was, I think Commissioner Dorson made the motion, and who seconded it? Renee Price.
Okay, questions, comments? Everyone's good with this?
Everybody's happy.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Woo! Da, 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 da. All right, we're done.
I have a minor
Thank
question.
you, that was good.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
What is the Strategic Communications Work Group and what does it do?
So I've actually done it before. Similar to what I brought up today as a petition, we review how we're communicating with the public. And so like the website, our rapid response if there's an emergency. So we just meet as needed. And I think when I was on it, we might have met quarterly. But, we'll figure that out, yeah. But this will be a good thing to follow up with on the website.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add to that when we meet to that committee's agenda is, I think we need to work on our communication with outreach. Some of the things like I mentioned about the environmental summit, about how we're reaching out to people. I know there's an information item about childcare at meetings, and there's questions about why, do we really even know why people don't come to meetings? I think some of that should be part of that group's purview.
Well, you and I are both on that, so we can start.
Yeah, good.
And the staff person is Todd on that. Yeah.
And while we're adding suggestions for that group, when we first started on that, we were also looking toward identifying what were going to be controversial issues that were coming up that would benefit from information being proactively disseminated. And we're going to see that, with school funding this spring. There's a lot of misinformation already flying. So, issues like that need to be dealt with a little better.
All right, great. Whew. There are no reports, are there? Yes, there is a report. I'm sorry. My head is still a little spinny.
Complete count.
All right. So this is the Orange County Complete Count Committee's 2020 Census Report. Todd is already up there for us. And as you recall, we created this back in May, and Commissioner Price is heading this up with Todd as our staff person. And we're getting an update on this so we can give input before this eventually hits the Assembly of Governments. So let's take it away, Todd.
Good evening. So, as you're aware, the census is coming up next year. It's our decennial census. So I thought I'd just kind of give you all a little bit of high-level overview of what the census means to Orange County, why it's important, and then talk a little bit about what the committee has been doing. So what does it mean to Orange County? So 3 things are really at stake: political representation, federal funding, and community planning and economic development. When the founding forefathers set up our country, it was notable that at the time they decided to base political power on population and not what had been done in other countries, wealth, land, things of that nature. So they decided political power would be based on representation. So this map shows you a projected change in congressional seats in 2020, and as you can see, we are one of 6 states projected to gain a seat in Congress based on the results of the 2020 census. So this will impact federal elections beginning in 2022. So therefore, it is imperative that we get a good count in North Carolina for this reason. North Carolina, Oregon, Colorado, and Arizona are projected to pick up 1 seat. Florida is projected to pick up 2 seats, and Texas will gain 3. And then the states that are in orange there are projected to lose seats based on decreasing population. So you can really see on this map that it shows that the population in the country is shifting to the south. And so that will result in some of the political power shifting to the south too. So federal funding, there's various surveys out there, but it's estimated that about each person counted in North Carolina is about $1,600 in federal funding for the state. I believe in federal fiscal year 16, the total amount of money that came into North Carolina as federal funds was $23 billion. That's almost as much as the size of the state budget in North Carolina funds. So you can see it is critical for not just us, but the state and every community in North Carolina that we get a good accurate count so we can get these money. And those funds go to things like schools, roads, transportation, social services. So it's a wide variety of services that receive funding based on the data from the census. Businesses use this data also to determine locations for business expansions or where to locate new businesses. And as you've seen lately, we've had some very exciting announcements in economic development for expansions and relocations of new businesses. So you can see that the census data comes in handy for planning purposes as well. So what are the challenges going to be? Oh, I'm sorry, one more slide. So even though the census itself comes around every 10 years, the Census Bureau is working on data every year, and the local government partners are also working with the Census Bureau to provide them information every year to help them. So it's not like every 10 years the Census Bureau magically appears and we start trying to catch up from where we were 10 years ago. Every year, the Orange County Planning is submitting the local update of census addresses, boundary annexation surveys, participants, statistical areas. Those are just a few of the areas, new construction, that we're constantly providing data to the Census Bureau. So when it gets to time to do the census, it won't be such a heavy lift. The challenges for 2020, the biggest one is probably going to be the digital divide, because this is going to be the first year that you can do the census online. It's always been in the past one way to do it. You get the hard copy form in the mail and you fill it out. Then if you don't do that, eventually a census taker will come along with a hard copy form and help you fill it out. So the digital divide could be an issue. In Orange County, across the country, 95% of the housing units will receive their census invitation in the mail. This will include information on how to fill it out online or by the phone. The Census Bureau has identified about 5% of the country that will actually receive the paper ballot on its first mailing, because they believe this is going to be a hard to respond community. And there's actually one census tract in Orange County that has been identified that will get the paper mailing first off, and that is in Chapel Hill.
Where is that?
In Chapel Hill.
What part?
It's one of, I can't give you this, it's one of the lower income neighborhoods in Chapel Hill. I can't give you the exact location, but I can show you, I've got it on a map I can show you.
Okay,
But-
so I guess my question about the mailing, I mean, is it going to be very identifiable that folks should open up that mail?
Yes, it will come from the Census Bureau. The issue will be that it won't be addressed to anybody in the house. It will be addressed to the address.
That's a problem, yeah.
Yeah, so, but this is how they've done it all the time. And so you will actually get 5 mailings before they will send someone to the house to follow up with you. So you'll get a letter in the mail that will have your information on how to go online and fill out the census, or numbers to call to fill out the census. If you do nothing, you're going to get a postcard reminder about a week later. Hey, did you get this letter from the Census Bureau? We need you to fill it out and respond. If you do nothing, you'll get another postcard. If you do nothing, again, you'll get the mailing with the form. And then if you still do nothing again, you'll get another postcard reminding you that you should have gotten the form in the mail. You need to fill it out. This is all through the month of April, about a week apart. And then if you still haven't done anything, come May, you'll start getting knocks on your door from the Census Bureau. So our goal is to keep the census people out of Orange County. We want everybody to respond before the census takers show up and start knocking on doors. And as I said, one census tract in Chapel Hill has been identified as an area less likely to respond online, so they will receive the paper questionnaire. Interestingly, I looked at the map from the Census Bureau. Almost all of Caswell County is going to get the paper ballot right off the bat. They've identified them as an area less likely to respond online. Lots of Person County is the same way, many tracts in Durham County, so we are one of the few counties that have almost complete, only the one, as I said, the one tract that will get that mailing. The hard-to-count communities will be another big challenge. All of the debate about the citizenship question, in particular this past summer, caused a lot of angst amongst some of our non-English native-speaking communities. I went to a forum this summer put on by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and this was before the citizenship question had been settled, and they were very concerned about what that impact was going to be on their residents, because obviously they're afraid of folks having this information turned over to ICE or to law enforcement that will use it to come and track them down. Inadequate and late funding. The federal government has not put in nearly as much money to the census as they have in years past. In years past, they had sites that you could go and get access to a census worker and ask questions called Be Counted sites and get help filling out the forms. They're not doing that this year. The state has not put in a lot of money. The postcard versus paper form, again, we talked about that. Just the idea of making sure that people understand when they get this letter, they need to open it up and read it and then respond. And then, of course, marketing will be a big challenge, because you have all of the different communities that you need to reach out to, and there's probably going to be different messages that resonate with those communities. So y'all formed a complete count committee last spring. This map shows the number of complete count committees nationwide. And as you can see, again, the population transitioning down to the south, that's where most of the complete count committees are. This is a map of North Carolina, where the larger black one there right in the middle. But as you can see, it looks like almost every county has at least one complete count committee. Local ownership of the census is key to getting a good response. So your complete count committee is led by Vice Chair Renee Price. We have more than 50 members and growing. We have met 3 times so far. We're meeting again tomorrow for the 4th time. The speakers that we've heard from so far have been Stacy Carles, the Executive Director of the North Carolina Counts Coalition. That's a nonprofit coalition that is leading the effort to get people to respond to the census. I went to a statewide conference they had in Elon College last month and got some really good ideas from there. It was a great kind of peer exchange, membership exchange ideas there. Bob Coates, who was with the governor's census liaison, he has done, I believe he said this is his 4th census he's been through, Renee? Yeah. He's done it 4 times, so he was a wealth of good ideas and information for us. Eric Edelheit is the Census Bureau liaison for Orange County. He also does Chatham, Person, I believe Durham, and I think that's it. I don't think he does Wake. So he's been to all of our meetings. He may not get to tomorrow's meeting because the Chatham County Complete Count Committee is also meeting tomorrow at the exact same time we are. So he's going to try to hit both when he said he may not be able to make it to ours. We have created a handful of subcommittees that are looking on specific areas. The Be Counted sites is looking at locations to have public computers, so we're looking at the Orange County Public Libraries, Chapel Hill Libraries, senior centers, the community centers in Orange County and also Chapel Hill. So our goal is to try to have as many of those sites with free internet access and free computers set up that residents could come, fill out the census. If they have questions, there'll be somebody trained there that could help them answer any questions they may have. And of course, always, there's an 800 number people can call to get questions too. Publicity and marketing is a subcommittee that I'm leading up. We're going to be developing kind of the marketing campaign, the social media campaign. We're going to be recruiting census captains, I believe is what we're going to call them, neighborhood volunteers who will help spread the word to the neighborhood through their listservs, email newsletters, things like that. Hard to count non-English speaking, hard to count NGOs with clients, community outreach, business community, and then schools, GIS, IT support is just helping all of the committees give what they need. And the elected officials are also going to be the ambassadors who are going to go out, and when we have groups that want someone to come in and speak about the census, those will be the ones that can go out and deliver that message. Commissioner Price spoke to the League of Women Voters, Chatham, Orange, and Durham counties, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. So those are the kinds of subcommittees that we have. This is the website that we've created on our website. My group decided that instead of trying to have every local government do a version of their own census website, we would create one on Orange County and then have all of those local governments provide links back to this site just to try to make it easier. So we have different pages. We have a page on the committee. We have a page on the left there that shows the timeline that you will go through, when to expect the various mailings, a listing of the members. And then the marketing materials page is where we're putting things like the materials we come up with. I've written a handful of newsletter articles just about why is the census important. These are the kinds of things that we want the local governments, the businesses who have newsletters that send out to their customers, the schools that have send out newsletters, PTA groups, communities, residents who have access to their neighborhood homeowners association email listservs, to put those kinds of information in those newsletters to try to help us get that word out as much as possible, that the census is coming and you need to help us respond. It's a big deal in Orange County. It means a lot of federal money coming into the county. So that page is very important, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. Right now we're getting a lot of the information for that page from the Census Bureau, and they're going to have marketing materials, I believe, in as many as 12 different languages. So right now they only have them in English and Spanish, but once they get all of those different languages in, we'll start bringing those over and providing links to those so the various groups in our community and can have access to that information as well. And that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Great, thank you, Todd. Very good. Questions for Todd? Commissioner Dworson and Commissioner Markopoulos.
So this is not, so one thing that, and I think it might be useful to coordinate it with this committee, is there's a lot of hiring that goes on for the census, and there's jobs for people that pay reasonably well. And I think it would be good, I was just looking at that last slide that you had, which is like the front of the web page. If we could add a link maybe to, work for the census, because I think it's an opportunity for lots of folks in Orange County.
And we've been sending that out on social media as well, linking to that.
Good.
So yeah, we can put that on the web.
So yeah,
It may be on this website, just I wasn't able to show you the whole but we can certainly add that.
But just to coordinate, to have some, I know that you can go to the census website and there's just the federal government's putting out a lot of stuff about it, but if we're having anything local, and through this committee and, through these 50 people that are working with you, Renee, to make sure they're getting the word out to their groups that these job opportunities are available.
Actually, there is the other organization, I think it's the one that Stacy heads up. They've actually already had recruiting events, like at Rogers Road.
Have they had any in Orange County?
Yeah, Rogers Road. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Arena.
Yeah, and so one of the thoughts that we were going to explore is the Be Counted sites now could serve as a go and apply for a job site.
So we should be promoting that, and if there are any other of those events that they're having in Orange County, to promote those, through our website as well.
Yeah, because they're temporary jobs, but they're nice paying temporary jobs.
They pay like $15 an hour around here. 15 to 20.
Maybe, yeah.
Commissioner Markopoulos?
So the personal visits is the last resort after everything else is
Correct.
exhausted? And are all those people paid, or are there volunteers?
No, those are the paid census takers. Those are the positions that they are recruiting for now.
So every person that goes out and visits the residences is a paid?
Every person that goes out for the Census Bureau is paid, correct.
Are
There
any-
may be some organizations that are conducting like get out the count drives and maybe going knocking on doors and things like that, but they are not Census Bureau.
So that's a little different. They're not getting the
Correct, they're not
information,
actually-
taking it back. They're saying you better send your paper in or you're not going to get
They're
it
just
done.
saying, hey, the census is coming and
So is there any expectation that every dwelling will be contacted or at least exhaustively checked? Or do we fall short in that category? Or is it typical to fall short in that?
I don't know that anybody ever gets 100%. Orange County has traditionally been a very highly responding county. So I've gone back and looked at the previous censuses and compared our response rates to the rest of the nation. And we are not one of the counties that the Census Bureau is concerned about, which is part of that problem for us. Then is when the Stacey Carles's bureau or organization had some grant funds available for counties to help promote the census, we wouldn't qualify. So we have to kind of, that's why we have money in our, and we will probably be coming back to ask y'all for more money at some point. So we are not a county that they're traditionally worried about. The difference, what I'm worried about in 2020 is the online and the digital divide. And then, of course, just the political atmosphere now is completely different than
Right.
10 years ago.
Do we know what the percentage is in Orange County?
So the Census Bureau considers a 75% initial response rate as high, and we were close to 90 in 2010. And that's the initial response before they start sending out the enumerators. So my goal is to be whatever ends up being the average response this year, and I suspect it might be a little bit different because of the different methods, will be at least 10 to 15% higher than that. And then as they continue to work through it, they will continue to accept responses all the way through July and August is what they've told us. So we'll keep promoting it as much as we can after that.
So is there any benefit to sort of marshaling more people as volunteers to go out and do this?
I'm torn on that because I think it risks confusing people. For one thing, if we're looking at trying to, towards the end, get the groups or get the folks that haven't responded to respond, we won't know who's responded. So you would have to go out and blanket, and people might say, I've already responded. Why are you coming by and bugging me? So one of the things that they did mention at that conference is they think they're going to have an online live response by census tract. So hopefully what this means is we can see if that census tract in Chapel Hill is not responding, then maybe we can figure out some way to reach that particular census tract. Again, we wouldn't know address by address who has responded, but if there's something that we could do to maybe promote more awareness in that one community, if we can get into some neighborhoods that have listservs and email addresses that we can change, maybe we can we're talking about setting up a mobile hotspot where we could get a couple of laptops, park a van at a community center on Saturday from 12 to 5 and say, hey, if you haven't filled out your census, come here and fill out your census. We'll have some activities for the kids or something like that. So, again, if they weren't certain they were going to be able to do that. The person at the Census Bureau said, we want to have this data to be live, updated every day. The person who's worked through the census before said, I'll be happy if you have this updated once a week.
So the federal government knows, they have the information. And
Correct.
I guess it's considered a privacy issue at that point?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, they can't share census data with really anybody, identifying census data with anybody. They can aggregate it and say, here's 60% of this population group is so-and-so and so-and-so.
It's just amazing, though, that you can get voting information and find out so much, But, yeah.
How are the homeless counted, or are they counted, or how
They
does
are
that
counted
work?
separately. There's a separate way to count. It's just like the the students at UNC who live in dorms are not part of the effort. The university will count that and send that to the Census Bureau. So one of the other big issues and one of the other big population groups that we're worried about is the students who live in off-campus housing. Because you got, like when I was in college, there's 5 of us crammed into an apartment, and if something comes in the mailbox addressed to resident, 220 Kent Road, which is where I lived, who would necessarily even take ownership to open it up? So that's going to be a big issue, is educating the college students. That's why we have UNC's off-campus housing person is on our committee, so he can help us develop strategies for those students. And then another hard-to-reach group is children under 5. Families don't always count them. They were the most undercounted group in the 2010 census.
How do they even measure how well you do if it's only based on the census data, right? I mean, if you say we have a 75%, 90% return rate, well, that's based on how many we counted last time. And
Right.
so, you know, if you have chronically undercounted populations, I mean, it's just an interesting question, right? So, yeah, we get whatever, this high return rate of people we know who are here already.
Yeah.
So, but it's important. It's a good effort.
I have a question about the, did everybody, I have a question about the sites. And I, you know, as I look at the map, I circled 2 places, the one in upper, you know, the north.
The upper right and the lower left.
Yeah, and I'm like wondering, what is it that we can do to get computers or something?
Well, and so I mean, that's one of the things the Be Counted Site Committee is going to look at. One of the locations we've talked about is the Grange up there in the northwest part of the county.
Yeah.
If we could get, if whenever they have a meeting, if they would allow us to come up and set some computers up, and then people could come in and do it then. And then maybe even a volunteer fire station down in like
White Cross.
White Cross is what I was thinking, if they would let us, you know, come down there and set it up.
I can give you a name of a person with the Grange to contact if you don't already have it.
I got
Okay.
I got several.
It just seems that, like, you know, as you're
Yeah,
looking
that's the
at
2
those-
areas of the, if you look at the map, and there's 2 holes, and it's upper right and lower left.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it, it's just not on the map. Right
And
now.
what about putting information, I know this is going to sound weird, but at the animal shelter? I mean, I
So-
think the animal shelter is one of the busiest place, probably on the weekends. You know,
Correct. So
everyone's
one of the
posting
things
puppies.
that the committee's going to do is develop posters, flyers, and we're going to ask all of our local government partners to display these in every building that you have access, every one of your Chapel Hill buildings, every Orange County building. We're going to have those distributed throughout by the businesses. The chambers are going to distribute them to the businesses, ask them to print them out and put them up on the walls of the restaurant. So we want to try to blanket the county with this kind of information. You're right. The animal shelter, and I'm also thinking the recreation center is a great place, and Sportsplex gets a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
And Sportsplex is right next to Passmore, where there is a Be Counted site. We have computers, so we'll have some signage there to say, hey, while your child is practicing hockey, you can run over here and fill out the census.
Right.
Might be able to partner with churches, too.
Oh,
if
we're
they
doing
can,
that.
You know, to have, in those places where there isn't anything, to have computers set up and.
Well, we can also do the mobile, but there's also, we might do a, you know, how we get souls to the polls, souls to be counted.
Yeah, I
Events.
mean, in addition to having, like, if they could just had somewhere you say, would you just set up a computer every Sunday?
You're right.
And, you know, since we can't get the mobile out everywhere, you know.
Right,
I'm sure we
right.
could do.
And
And
so-
Anna Richards is going to
Anna,
lead an effort. So the month of March actually has 5 Sundays, and what she was telling me is that pastors generally prepare 4 sermons per month. So when there's a 5th Sunday, they're looking for material. So we're thinking of trying to coordinate a countywide 5th Sunday souls to the
Count or
count
something.
kind of a project. So that would be the you know, a way for them to emphasize, hey, here's a free material for you guys to get through this 5th Sunday and to provide a service for the
And
community.
in addition to that, Janice Tyler has a list of all the faith assemblies in the county.
Great.
Commissioner Dorsey, you did this in 2010. Is there anything that you think we're missing or that needs to be?
I think I did it in 2000.
Yeah, you
In
did.
2000?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're aging yourself now.
Yeah, well, you
Wow,
know.
that's like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that this sounds really great, the efforts. I mean, I think Todd has identified what generally is acknowledged is going to be the challenges everywhere this time, the digital piece. So, you know, the areas you pointed out, Captain, highlights the issues of where people have access to Wi-Fi and internet access. And so, I mean, we can probably partner with the schools also, so when parents are coming in and they can just go in there and do that. So, no, I mean, I don't know. One of the things in 2000 that at that time, there was a lot of, there was more resources. So there was a lot of swag, there was a lot of flyers, there were, pencils and all kinds of tchotchkes that were given out. And so I know Todd said that, or Renee, that they're going to come back for more. I mean, I don't know how effective any of that stuff is, but there are things like that you can, and then, the schools they have, I mean, you're already working with them, so it's great, but, they can put out things, they have email to every parent, they have, they put things in kids' backpacks, and there's ways to, just as many ways as we can touch people. It's a good, it's something the Strategic Communications Work Group, it's another challenge to how we communicate effectively countywide. And I don't know, maybe we could do, I think in 2020, there was a notice that went out in some countywide bill, just an information thing that everybody got, that we were like a tax bill or something else, so they got the water people to put stuff in the water bills.
We tried, also won't do it.
Yeah, and we have developed like a little flyer that Town of Hillsborough actually developed for us. They're going to put in, anytime they do a mailing, the planning committee or any other kind of mailing, they're going to just insert one of those in it. We're going to share that with all the other local governments. So when we do a mailing that goes out to a large number of people, if we can print copies of those and just insert them in the envelopes, Chapel Hill, Carrboro, the same way. And as Commissioner Price said, we did ask OWASA, and they have said their policy is not to put anything in their
That's not
envelopes.
OWASA related. I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No.
You can put me down as a White Cross volunteer to specifically, there's a new Hispanic market, not totally Hispanic market, but Chewy runs a Fiesta Grill, opened up a store recently. And he and his wife are real leaders in the community, and they would help spread the word through the restaurant and the store to a lot of the people that live in trailer parks out in that area. And I can help. I can be the ambassador to downtown White Cross if you'd like.
That was part of what my question was. There's so many people that don't trust, right? So how do we, and maybe Commissioner Dorsey, you can
So the
tell us-
strategy is for these hard-to-reach communities.
The people that don't trust. So there's a hard-to-reach community, and then there's people that absolutely.
Yeah, there's actually two. There's the hard-to-reach communities and then the low-response communities, which are the people who tend not to trust us. They are the ones that the census has recommended the strategy being identify the trusted leaders within those communities, like you just said, the gentleman there who runs that market, and have them be the ones to deliver the message. Because if I show up wearing a suit and a tie, if y'all come up as politicians, dressed up and expecting them, it's just the government coming, and we're the people that they don't trust. So we have to.
The trusted messengers, that's the key term that we're using.
So that's why we're working with the FSA, because they have those people and they know those people, the refugee partnerships, the refugee coalition groups that work with the refugee communities. Those are the people that we're going to get to enlist the leaders within those communities to go out and deliver the message. So we'll develop the materials for them. Some of those we will need some translation assistance, but we'll get them to help us with the translation and then have them go out and be the ones to deliver the message. That's why when you say about going out and knocking on the doors, that just worries me on several fronts, particularly when you start dealing with the people who don't trust and the people who have limited English proficiency. When they see somebody coming to knock on the door, they're probably not going to answer. So if it's somebody that they don't know.
And getting back Mark, to what you mentioned about about recruiting people. The intention is to recruit people of different nationalities and languages and whatever, because those are the people that you would trust to come into your neighborhood. We're trying to get people that actually live in the neighborhood that don't have a job or need another job to apply, so that they will be the trusted messengers to go into this, to be part of the community and get the work, get the data.
James Zetta, you might put this on your queue with the Partnership for Young Children. That's a
Oh, yes.
That's a lot of, there's trusted messengers there, and
Okay.
particularly if under 5 is a undercounted group. I mean,
Yeah, people have to realize that their children are people.
yeah. So I'm sure they got a whole list of
Okay.
things, but that I'm just remembering from my time on there. There were service providers and also,
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this would work, but building material suppliers, if they could be talked into doing a little publicity.
Hopefully. Yeah, we were trying to work with the chambers of commerce as well to reach out to their business
But
members. But if you,
the people I'm talking about aren't members of the chamber.
oh, okay.
You know, like Sherwin-Williams, Lowe's, Home Depot, Fitch,
Oh,
where so many people stream in every day.
All right. Well, thank you. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate it being brought forward. And so this is going to come to the Assembly of Governments then in February, is that? No, we're January, I'm sorry, January 25th. Are you going to do anything beforehand, or we're just going to get the feedback at that meeting?
So the committees are continuing to meet, so whatever we present in January will be more updated as to what, we should at that point have a pretty good idea of the schedule of events that's going to go forward through the rest of the spring, so yeah, we should have a lot more
timeline.
information. We should have a lot
so
more information.
what we were going to do, unless you decide you want something different, but what we said that we were going to do is present the report with all the committees' work at the Assembly of Governments, because that will include Chapel Hill, Carborough, Hillsborough. We're meeting tomorrow to try to get some of that final information to put into a report that will spell out more of what we plan to do with the limited budget that we have, because North Carolina gave $0 for this, whereas like Illinois had, what, 29 million?
I would suggest having something starting as soon as possible on the homepage, like that Everyone Counts logo that people can check. I mean, I'm looking at it now, there's not anything, no. I mean, right at the top, a box that you could click on that goes to that page,
banner.
so people can see it right up front. And so we could start, everything that the county's putting out has that feature on there. We could have it on our agendas at the top, anything that goes out to people, just to start talking about it now.
Can you change that picture on the front where those people that are obviously not from Orange County, the
Yeah,
volunteers?
so those slides rotate, so we can, I had one for what you just asked me for earlier tonight. We'll put one.
Pauli Murray.
It's Pauli Murray. We'll put a slide up for the Pauli Murray Award starting tomorrow, and we can put one up for the census too. We're going to have these same kind of slides on all of the digital message monitors throughout the county. We're going to share that with Chapel Hill and Carborough. They have digital message monitors, so we're going to create the graphics for them to put on theirs. Chamber is going to then send those graphics out to the businesses, because lots of, restaurants have digital message monitors and hotels, and so, if they can start helping us in those businesses to share the information that way too, will be helpful.
Penny's saying get rid of that
Get rid
stock
of this.
photo, that fake photo.
Yeah, I mean, we generally try to rotate those around, so we can
I
do
was
that.
trying to identify these.
Chair
people.
Rich, one correction,
them.
the AOG is on January the 28th, not the
28th, I said the 25th, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm mixing up February 25th as the school board.
Maybe get some pictures of us in our coats and ties going around the neighborhood.
I like the idea of what Commissioner Dorson just said. So this Everyone Counts Orange County Census 2020. That should be everywhere. That should be on the bottom of every email that anyone in the county sends out. That should be on the, just everywhere. It's very identifiable, and we need to start especially on the website. I think it's important.
Had them in the buses.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's a good idea. You all down there, any other additions or?
Remember when we did the bond education, we also had them in all of the Chapel Hill Transit and Orange County buses as well.
Yeah, we're going to try to get a poster that we can put in
And
all the
and-
buses,
yeah.
and maybe even see about doing a wrap or something
Yeah.
like that. So, yeah, like Todd said, we want to plaster the county with.
Yeah, and
Everyone counts.
I talked to Chapel Hill Transit about a bus wrap.
Too much.
If you really want to do that, we'll be coming back for some money. I think it was $7,000 to $8,000 for one bus wrap.
Yeah.
So, but I think there are
Inside.
other signage on the buses that actually might be better, that we could get on more buses.
Right.
And particularly, this is where we can start looking at what's the bus that services that area that's a low count area, and then put it on that bus for, April, March, April, May, and June. So we can do some targeted advertising like that. And again, maybe Chapel Hill can work a deal that they can get us a discounted rate or a free rate.
Gratis.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. I mean, I don't know, maybe they will do that, but, that our partners in all this stuff, that, and I include OWASA in this, that they won't, that there's no quid pro quo, to use a term of the day. But, I mean, OWASA is us, Chapel Hill Transit is us. It's all, we have a role in determining what the policies and practices of these entities are, and so.
And so that's an area where I would defer to y'all.
I wasn't putting that on you, Todd. I'm just saying that, we're leading this initiative, but this is a benefit for everybody, every entity, every person in the county. It's going to make a difference if the more accurate the count is on what kind of resources we get from the federal government, state government, everything. And so, we all have, skin in the game, so to speak.
Who
And
did
there's
you talk
grant
to at
money.
OWASA?
There's grant money that comes from the federal government for water and sewer systems.
Who did you talk to at OWASA?
Oh, Linda Lowe, their public relations person.
Okay, so we could talk to our board members.
Yeah.
We appoint them. We appoint 5 people, right? Or no, we appoint 2 people, 5 people is Chapel Hill. We could talk to our board
Well,
members.
the other thing that we needed, that we considered was how many people actually read the things that come in there, if you even still get your bill by mail, if, people are actually reading it. So if our monetary resources are limited, is that the best use of?
Well, for us, would do it for, the thing is, it's the people who get the thing in the mail, the
Yeah, but
people
do you
who you're
look
not
at it?
reaching because they're not the ones getting it online.
Well, what I don't know, and some of us didn't know, is how many people actually, when they get their mail, get their bill, are they looking at all the stuff that's in there?
Well,
Or are they just trying to see how much money?
Do people read their email? You could say
Have you
this.
asked OWASA to put the link to our page on their website?
Yeah, so they'll do things like that, and she said they would be able to list our logo on their website. They just couldn't
Yeah, that check.
put the
Yeah, we
card
plan
in.
to.
We couldn't put anything in their mailing that goes out.
A once in a decade
We can
sharing.
get them, yeah.
Like, they ought to come.
If y'all want to twist some arms and
Yeah.
I prefer to think we're going to sit down reasonably and speak persuasively.
reasonable discussion, explain the virtues
Try to
and
make them
benefits.
understand the importance of this issue. I'm sure
All right, y'all. That was a good conversation. Thank you so much, Todd and Renee. Good
Yeah,
job, y'all.
great work.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have minutes, fiscal year 2019-2020 budget number 4. We have school adequate public facility ordinance. So only 3 tonight. Does anyone want to pull anything? And if not, motion to move that.
I don't want to pull something, but I would just like to ask, just for this information, the next time we get it, to come in a slightly different format.
Sure, which one is that?
So on the SAPFO stuff,
Yeah.
attachment 2 gives you the total capacity of 100% by elementary, middle, high. Attachment 1 has individual school numbers, but it doesn't give you the sense of the percentage. So what I would like to get is the same data sort of by school. So for example, if you just look at the first page of attachment 1, which is the Orange County elementary schools,
It gives you the school.
you see it gives you the list of schools, but it doesn't tell you what percentage of capacity. It tells you the requested capacity, it tells you the membership. So but 601 students in Cameron Park, is that 105%? Is that 100 for that school? Is that 90%?
Of each school you want the
yes,
percentage.
of each
Okay.
school. You don't think that's important information? I see you.
No, well, because I'm wondering where you're going with that, because, I mean, the SAPFO applies at the district level because
Right.
the school board should redistrict if they have over and under.
Yeah, well, what I want to know is, are they doing that, right? Or is that an option? Because if you just get the aggregated data for elementary schools, and let's say it's over, it may be that it could be addressed by redistricting.
Right.
And so, I mean, does that make sense? So I just want to understand it. Is it like.
That information has been provided before.
But I think it should come in this.
I mean, I don't disagree with
Yeah.
you, but I mean, we can get that
No,
information.
it comes in that big report, but I think in this, we get this interim report, and it would be helpful to see that, right? So 286 for Central Elementary. Is that school at 50% capacity? Is that school at 70% capacity? So that, I just like to get, if we could, this form that we get when they do this annual capacity membership change request form should have the actual percentage of what the membership is. Do you understand what I'm asking?
I know what you're asking, but.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a reasonable request. I was thinking you didn't think that we had got that information.
I know we get it when we get the big thing,
colorful
but I just think it's relevant information to have anytime we're
good.
getting this stuff back.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Move the consent
Okay,
agenda.
with that, yep, thank you. We have moved, I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, so that is that. County Manager's Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The only thing that I was going to bring up this evening was the information item that Commissioner Dorison mentioned, the child care at Board of Commissioner meetings. Just to summarize, Nancy Costin and her team looked this over really closely, and you'll see that when you read the information item. And just to quickly summarize, basically, it's a pretty high-risk endeavor because you have to think about medical issues, you have to think about train the appropriate people for the ages, how we would do that. But one of the things that we all agree on, and Commissioner Dorison has brought that up, and he also brought it up during this, was that we should look at what are the barriers for people coming to the meetings. And so we were going to work with Todd in community relations and figure out how we're going to do that and look at what the barriers are to all of our meetings and come back with what that is. And it may not be childcare, or it may be childcare, and we might have to look at some different ways to look at that. But I just wanted to bring that up, let you know we're continuing to work on that. That concludes my report. Thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you. County Attorney Report.
Nothing tonight. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you. Okay, no appointments, information items, the manager just talked to us about. We are good. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Woo-hoo. We'll see you in 2020.